1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
They will be the most fascinating team of the offseason, even though they have 0 primetime games in the regular season. And, of course, we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We'll get to so much more basketball and NFL in just a moment. But this one caught our eye, Pearl. Good morning. It's a little bit of a breakdown from Mary Kay Cabot about how the Browns are going to navigate these 4 quarterbacks that are on the roster right now with Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, and, of course, Shedeur Sanders as QB4. So a couple things here. One, Shedeur did sign like a rookie deal, the 4 years, $4 and change million. But that's aside. It's going to be one veteran and one quarterback together on 2 separate fields. Mm-hmm. So Pickett and Dillon Gabriel on one field throwing to receivers, and then Shedeur Sanders and Joe Flacco on another field throwing to different receivers. The thought process, obviously, is veteran and rookie together, so that makes a lot of sense. And then secondly, they want to divvy up the receivers to make sure everyone gets a fair shot of throwing to both Pro Bowlers like Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku, and then throwing to journeymen also. So it's trying to be as even as possible. This makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make me love this quarterback room anymore, but it does make sense how they're splitting this up, in my opinion.
It doesn't to me. Why is Kenny Pickett starting? Explain that to me. Why is he number 1 on the depth chart, according to Mary Kay Cabot?
Well, he's number 1 on the depth chart. That doesn't mean he's starting week 1.
Well, why is he number 1 on the depth chart? It should be this. And why is there any question about who's starting week 1? This is Joe Flacco's team. You got to throw out Joe Flacco. He's the only one out of that 4 who's proven anything in the NFL. And I know, again, we view Joe Flacco differently. He's 40. I have a perfect analogy for Joe Flacco.
Okay.
In boxing, he's an old George Foreman. He will get out there and he will throw massive uppercuts, and he's going to possibly throw for 300 yards a game. He might throw 3 picks in the same game. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Joe Flacco is obviously going to get the most out of this passing game because we saw it just 2 years ago. Kenny Pickett is already on his 3rd team. And the 2 rookies are probably not going to be ready to go for the first game of the season against a really hard schedule. This is Flacco. I know you're going to. I think your counter might be that you want to tank. What's the point? What's the future of Joe Flacco? I think you have to go out there and at least take a swing with Joe Flacco because you have talent around him, and you don't want to just let that talent wither away. You got to use Joe Flacco to start the year.
Joe Flacco?
My thought is not necessarily tanking, although they're going to have that Jags pick for next year, which who knows what the Jags are going to be. They may be great. They may be terrible.
Although that gives them a chance not to tank and get a high pick.
That's true. I think I don't think they're necessarily tanking. I do not.
Duval.
What I think is, that will never not be funny. What I do think is that I already know what I have in Flacco. I have no idea what's going on with Kenny Pickett. Is it possible that this is some kind of great reclamation project and he actually is a first-round talent and maybe we get a bargain here and we get Kenny Pickett cheap and he can, and do something. That's what I got to see. So, yeah, I understand why he's QB1 right now. Well, they're going to give him a chance to prove that he actually can play in this league, because the other part is right now he could be tradable if he does look good in camp and someone else gets hurt, because at least guys were scouting him. No one has any clue if Dylan Gabriel is going to be in the NFL or Shedeur. This makes perfect sense to me.
Tradable for what?
I'm just saying if someone got hurt and they were desperate, and if Kenny Pickett looked phenomenal in camp. What I'm saying is Flacco, you already know what you have. He doesn't even need preseason reps. This dude came off the couch and went 4-1 and guided the Browns to a playoff spot. This is the last dude who needs the reps. Shedeur needs them. Dylan Gabriel needs them. Kenny Pickett needs them. This all makes perfect sense to me. Now, you bring up a good point. The schedule in the beginning of the season for the Browns is bananas. Cincinnati, at Baltimore, Green Bay, at Detroit, Minnesota in Europe, at Pittsburgh, Miami, at New England. That's all before your bye. Tough.
Well, there are some defenses that Joe Flacco can carve up in there. Cincinnati, Cincinnati's a terrible starting team. That could be a big game. Baltimore, the Browns torched last year. Baltimore's defense, not usually a fast starter. Green Bay's pretty good, but that's in Cleveland. Detroit is very vulnerable. These are big Joe Flacco
Detroit
games.
could be healthy this year on defense, and that would change things.
Aiden
Hutchinson back.
It's going to be in Detroit. I feel like that would be a track meet, possibly. And then Minnesota's overseas. They're a good defense. And at Pittsburgh, then the schedule gets light. Yeah, that's exactly. I kind of think like these are the games you want Joe Flacco. I could easily see him having big games against several of those teams. Not necessarily winning the games because those offenses are sick. Yeah. But yeah, I think he could have some decent production here. Kenny Pickett, I can't see that happening because Pickett has been around a little bit. Steelers gave up on him like that. Yeah. Why do you think that was?
Well, the Steelers' offense is nothing awesome. And I trust Kevin Stefanski more than I trust any of the last 4 coordinators who have been in the Pittsburgh Steelers program. So I'm not holding too much on that. They gave up on Pickett. He kind of weirdly, I think, gave up on himself. I don't even know if we know the whole story there. But the thing about Flacco and why you don't start him, is he going to make it out of that gauntlet? He is 40. This dude's not mobile. He's big, but he's not mobile. So,
is he any more injury prone than any of those other guys?
Well, a 40-year-old guy who can't really move. Here's my question for you, though. It's just, this is actually setting up very well to me, maybe better for Shedeur than we may have thought, right? Him getting paired up with Joe Flacco, I think, is a smart thing. I think that the Browns are actually saying, listen, get paired up with Flacco. Learn from this guy. I think they really are giving Shedeur a shot here. He's 4th. He was a 5th-round pick. We know he's got a lot to climb and a long way to go. But this seems like a good plan for him if he can take advantage of it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. That makes logical sense. I think that it's more of a hodgepodge situation where they're going to give all 4 guys a shot. I think this year is a tryout. And I'm totally not with the crowd on Dylan Gabriel. I feel like Dylan Gabriel was born to play in a Stefanski offense. I mean, he reminds me of pretty much every other Kubiak, Shanahan quarterback of all time. Because if they have a run game, Dylan Gabriel is going to be perfect. First of all, he's a lefty. So I think he's going to be like Tua. He could definitely have a huge yardage season. Now, will he be vulnerable to big hits? Yes, probably. That's an issue. But I feel like Dylan Gabriel could really thrive in this offense too. And I think Shedeur could thrive in this offense, but I think they're going to definitely, don't you see 3 games for Shedeur, 3 games for Gabriel in the second half of the season?
Well, if the season's gone.
Yeah.
But I don't know, 17 games, is it ever really gone? Because you're looking at, even if they start off and it's terrible, then you got, at the Jets, you're at Las Vegas, you get the Titans, you're at, Chicago. I don't know if Chicago's going to be great. We could talk about that later. Seth Wickersham's going to join us, who's got all the details about Caleb Williams and his family trying to maybe finagle their way out of Chicago before the draft.
Oh, come on. You don't see all these guys get a chance in the season? This is the NFL where every quarterback plays by week 18. We're going to see both these rookies. Both.
Over under on how many quarterbacks start a game. Not appear. Not appear.
What are you setting it at?
I'm setting it at 2.5.
Over. Yeah, it's definitely 2.5.
3 quarterbacks to get through a season. That means your season is on the brink of disaster. It's not a good sign.
The 2025 Cleveland Browns, they are already on the brink of disaster, and it's May. I mean, can we talk about the elephant in the room, too, is the draft, next year's draft. So what's the point of spending too much energy on this if they just want to draft a quarterback next year, which I think is the prevalent thought around the nation.
I'll tell you why. I bet there's some pressure on Stefanski and Andrew Berry to not be a train wreck this year. I would think. You had a high pick. You end up trading,
You didn't take a quarterback in the first round.
No, I get it, but I think everyone was probably on board with that. And That's why they brought in Pickett. They brought in Flacco. And obviously Deshaun is a huge mistake that they made that they've owned up to now. We took a big swing and it ended up being a big whiff. I have to imagine no one feels really comfortable in the building. And this quarterback room doesn't exactly make me want to buy real estate in Cleveland if I'm a coach.
Well, I'm not. I know what you're saying, but they didn't bring in Kirk Cousins. They didn't make a move.
They tried. He was spotted at a Cleveland Chipotle.
Are you sure?
I mean, there was talks there. Didn't Diana Rossini tell us that? But I thought Atlanta wasn't interested in moving him yet.
I mean, if Cleveland wanted Kirk Cousins, I'm sure they could have taken on some of that money.
Chipotle.
You're thinking, why would Atlanta want to hold on to Kirk Cousins?
Why are they still holding on to him?
Because nobody wants that money. Like, nobody wanted to pay up for him yet. So I think basically Cleveland knows this is a risky season. I'll bet you that Andrew Berry's definitely could last another year. I don't know about Stefanski, but Berry is entrenched there, and he's well thought of.
Okay, but
Cleveland,
that's fine.
because they're idiots.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about Andrew Berry. If it wasn't Jimmy Haslam, the owner, who was making the Shedeur Sanders pick, then what are they doing? It doesn't make any sense. You and I said it after the draft. It's a silly. It feels a little silly. Now it might end up being great. Maybe you need 3 or 4 quarterbacks to get through a season. Maybe Shedeur ends up being awesome. It could save them, but the process of that was really didn't seem right.
I think it's just a 5th round pick. It's a total risk. I'm not sure any 5th round pick has ever made it at quarterback. This is a flyer. So this whole season feels like a flyer at quarterback.
But Pearl, let's live in reality.
The reality is, you just described one of the worst quarterback camps we've ever heard of.
I know, but you're acting like Shedeur Sanders is just like any other 5th rounder, and you and I both know that's not true.
He would have been a late round pick. I mean, he wouldn't have been a 1st rounder. The point is, not many teams go into camp without a 1st round level quarterback. Like, rookies generally, you don't say, oh, we got a 2nd rounder. I know that the Saints might be an exception this year, but generally it's like, oh, we got a 2nd rounder. We're going to hope he does the trick. That's not how every other team pretty much in the league has either a veteran who's proven or a high draft pick. Even 1st round picks aren't guaranteed to start. Like, nobody thinks Jackson Dart's going to be the week 1 starter. I mean, maybe he will be, but generally, you have like something proven. This is the weirdest quarterback room in the NFL, don't you think?
Well, unless the Browns actually see Kenny Pickett as a 1st rounder and they think they can resurrect him. But
Kenny Pickett's definitely backup level.
No, but here's the thing. Well, now he's QB1 in Cleveland until further notice. But here, the Shedeur thing, like you're saying, Andrew Berry is so safe, their GM. I just don't see it, because if Shedeur in any way, if they actually like Dylan Gabriel, which you love, you just laid out how great he is in Stefanski's offense. He's a lefty, all that. You brought in Shedeur and you brought a circus around a guy, because we're talking about it now in the middle of May. We're talking about how they're going to split their reps in training camp. I don't know if Andrew Berry played this one as well as he thought.
But what do you have to lose? I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of noise around Shedeur being there. But at the end of the day, he's a 5th round pick. Remember, Mary Kay came on our show. She's like, they kind of view him as a 5th round pick. They'll cut him like that.
Yeah, and we thought she sounded a little bit delusional there, because Shedeur brings eyeballs, and the Browns know this.
Well, I mean, Tebow got cut all over the place.
Not his first year.
Yeah, I mean, he won a playoff game, and they axed him. That was incredible.
Well, they also fired the coach, and they got rid of everybody.
What was his 2nd or 3rd year?
Peyton Manning, so.
Yeah, that was Peyton Manning coming in.
Yeah, listen, Cleveland, they might have the number 1 pick next year. They will definitely move on fast. I think I don't think they're scared of cutting Shedeur Sanders down the road. Do you guys think that matters to them?
It's not about that. It's about, do you think that having Shedeur there, if they really do love Dylan Gabriel, that undermines or threw a wrench into this competition?
Well, I think Dylan Gabriel's a 3rd round pick. He's not supposed to be a starter this year. Like, you don't draft a guy in the 3rd round to be a starter. He is a backup who in maybe 2 or 3 years develops into a starter, right? Isn't that what a 3rd round quarterback is?
And I just said, how many quarterbacks do you think are going to start a game for the Browns this year? And I set the over under 2.5, and you said over.
It's a tryout. Yeah, but
okay,
I mean, like,
but you think he's going to get starts? Like,
he
might be a backup in the future, but you think he's going to get a shot this year?
Meaningless starts, like tryout starts. Like, I think it's going to be week 12, and they're going to try Gabriel for a little bit, and then it's going to be week 15, and they're going to try Sanders for a little bit, see what they have, and then reassess after the year. I think that when you think of the big picture of the Browns, maybe the quarterback of the future is not there. I mean, Flacco and Pickett is nothing.
Right.
I mean, Flacco's 40. It's coming off the couch. And Kenny Pickett can barely hold on as a backup right now. The Eagles obviously were not thrilled with him. I can tell you that as a fact.
Yeah.
Like Tanner McKee, everyone was like, ooh, I think they should start that guy over. But he should be the backup, not Kenny Pickett. So I don't know like what the risk is here. If Kevin Stefanski's really going into a make or break year with this quarterback room, would you even want to do that if you were Stefanski?
I just don't know if they can afford to be 0-17. You know
They do have talent. They do have, I mean.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, is this a throwaway year for the Browns?
Oh, my God,
completely?
yes. I mean, it is if they're 4-13, no one's going to be like, oh, man, you blew it.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. But didn't they kind of blow it? Because it's their fault their quarterback room looks like this.
Why?
I know Deshaun's obviously taking up a lot of money, but that money, as you always say, that's a sunk cost. It's gone.
Yeah.
And honestly, you can't overpay for a quarterback. So we've learned that now. So it kind of is their fault that the quarterback room looks this bleak.
Well, they don't want to invest in it. They don't want to bring in anyone big. Chipotle?
So
why is it? But I don't understand why taking Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round makes their quarterback room any worse. I mean, it's a total flyer. A 5th round quarterback. If his name wasn't Shedeur Sanders and he was drafted in the 5th round, we wouldn't even, there's no way we'd be talking about it. Like Will Howard or who's the guy in the 6th round? I'm just saying normally. And you say he's not a normal 5th round
not.
pick. But he's definitely not a 1st round quarterback. Like,
we thought he was until like a month ago.
Chipotle.
I can't do that disassociation from reality thing.
So you're going to treat him like a 1st rounder?
No, it's not. I'm treating him. He's going to get attention like he's a 1st rounder. The fall made this story even bigger. We realize
right, but from
this,
a
right?
team building perspective, you're not going to view him as a 1st rounder anymore. You can't. He didn't go in the 1st round.
No, but if I really want to build a team and if I really think Dylan Gabriel might be even my backup of the future, I'm not bringing in Shedeur to muddy the water.
I mean, what's the big deal? It's really, like, does this, again, I know what you're saying, but this is not, that's the least of their problems, that Shedeur is going to get in Dylan Gabriel's way.
And let's not forget
You're
Shiloh.
paid in the way.
Let's not forget Shiloh.
Let's not forget Shiloh. That's the problem with the Browns. I mean, we're looking at possibly, what about Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik and Drew Aller and Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel? That is, I'm not worried about the rookies. I'm worried about, hey, what is this team going to be? I got to get Flacco out there, and I got to establish something. Because, I mean,
all right,
you're worried that
establish something with Flacco. What? You're basically saying the season is a throwaway.
Yeah, I mean,
and go 4-13 and get another shot, another bite at the apple. Why the hell would I put Flacco out there? He could accidentally win me some games if that's my. You're riding both rails here.
No,
you realize that.
You got to go through. You got to take your shot. If the Flacco thing doesn't work, your big home run swing doesn't work in the first 5 weeks, then boom, it's tryout season.
Flacco was your big home run swing.
Yes, Flacco's got it.
Deshaun was your big home run swing. That didn't work. Flacco is a safety net plan C.
Flacco, no. There's nothing safe about Joe Flacco. He is going to throw that ball down the field, and someone's going to catch it. It's going to be your receiver, their cornerback. It's going to be amazing. I was looking at David Njoku's game logs with Joe Flacco. He averages about 120 yards a game. This is going to be a very exciting first 5 games with Joe Flacco, and then a very interesting rest of 12 with a hodgepodge of Pickett. I love it.
But you think Flacco's going to win the job?
I think Flacco is. Yeah, I would bet on Flacco. But, yeah, I don't feel great about it.
See,
We should do a bet.
Really convincing there.
Yeah, Flacco's your closer, man. He's coming in if you're still hanging around in a playoff race, which, by the way, a lot of teams are because the season's just so freaking long. And you're right, Baltimore sometimes, Cincinnati definitely gets off to slow starts. Yeah. Baltimore sometimes can get off to slow starts, too. So maybe you're still kind of in it in the division. I mean, Pittsburgh, what's going on with their quarterback situation? When's Rodgers going to sign? How's that going to look? So I think Flacco comes in Sunday, November 30th against the San Francisco 49ers and takes you home from there.
Who's keeping them alive until that late in the year? Kenny Pickett?
Their defense in a run game.
Oh, my God. Against that schedule, I don't see it.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. What a cloudy, murky, weird quarterback room the Cleveland Browns have for us this year. How they got no primetime games is such a crime.
Really?
We need this like front and center. I want Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth sliding in, talking about how silly this is.
I think you're the first person that says we have to watch Cleveland Browns national TV.
Well, they did have a great game. Remember, they played in the snow against Pittsburgh. Was that at night?
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was a great
Jameis.
game.
Here's a guy.
But yeah, I actually understand. Like, this is exciting in May. In October, it'll be like, oh yeah, the Browns are still playing football. This. Would you really put them in prime time, or you just say,
Hell yeah.
I wouldn't. I would have given them a big 0.
Oh, I mean, let's look at the schedule.
I feel great.
How about the Ravens? Sunday, November 16th. It's a 4:25 game, so it's closer.
34-6.
November, they might have 2 wins in November.
Yeah, the Ravens have 14 better games on the schedule for prime time.
That's never stopped the Browns from being interesting.
Yes, it kind of has.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
They do have a standalone game. That's the Minnesota game. It's in Europe, 9:30 a.m.
What is that?
Yeah, that used to be the Jags spot. That is not exactly a badge of honor.
Well, Minnesota's going to be a good team. 888-710-4ISN, I think.
That game is going to be 19-16, and it's going to be a missed field goal at the end in Tottenham Spurs Stadium or whatever. Those games stink
That's my
all the
EPL
time.
team right there.
This is why I don't bet on European games. The games in Europe. I can't do it. I never know what's going to happen. It's always a crapshoot. 888.
So you will bet on Euro basketball, though?
Olympiacos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
888-710-4ISN,
Big European.
888-710-4476.
Big European soccer match coming tomorrow.
What do you got?
Bogusch all over it. Tottenham against Manchester United in the Europa League final.
What time?
That'll be at 3 o'clock Eastern time.
It's right in my
I
wheelhouse.
was told this was the NIT of European soccer, Maggie. We don't have to watch.
Yes, more or less it is.
I was coming back from my trip to Mexico, and I was wearing my Knicks jacket.
Los Knicks.
And I'm coming in, and the guy was like, "Oh, I'm going to the game tonight or tomorrow." I'm like, "What?" And I didn't realize that underneath my Knicks jacket, I was wearing my Tottenham jersey.
Oh, wow.
He was going
You're really
to Europe
decked out.
for that. I wasn't even thinking about Tottenham.
Going to
That's my
Spain.
EPL team.
That's in Spain, too. That's not in England.
Yeah. But he confused me. I looked at him like I was crazy. I was like, "The Knicks don't play for 3 days. What are you talking about, bro?" It's in Jamaica
Maybe he's just showing up to the Garden real early. Really wants to get a good seat. We do have basketball tonight, by the way. Western Conference Finals tips off. Of course, you've got your OKC in Minnesota, so that's going to be fun. Again, 888-710-4ISN. This Browns quarterback situation, what do you make of it? Are they actually going to compete this year, or is this going to be another tanking season for Cleveland? Coming up, how about the 49ers taking care of more business yesterday? They're on a tear. We'll get to that next. M&P.
Joe Flacco?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. Something from yesterday's show stuck with me.
What was that? We have a pretty memorable show.
A little issue. It was a small, subtle thing. An argument we had.
Is this that we didn't recognize that you were dressed like Scotty Scheffler? And
That
you were
was-
upset that we didn't.
That was on me. I forgot that I was dressed like Scotty Scheffler.
You were wearing just regular clothes, and
I was wearing
somehow we were
khakis
supposed to
and
get
a-
that.
Yeah, it was a sort of blue golf shirt. It was trying to be boring everyman Scotty Scheffler.
Like, I can't believe you guys
Khakis
did
and a
this.
blue shirt.
Like Perloff showed up looking like the front man from Kiss, and we were just like, we don't get it. Like, you were just dressed like you. You and Scheffler the same.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
I see it today.
Yeah, you
What's
kind of
that?
look like Scheffler today.
No, I have my golf jacket on. I got this at Pebble Beach. I basically won a $400 gift certificate to the gift shop, and
Wow.
this is what you get for $400 at Pebble Beach.
One shirt.
Yeah, basically.
Flex.
There was an
How'd you
no.
win
It's
the gift
it's only
certificate?
worth like $88, but they mark up everything by 300%.
Is this when you beat Nance in the putting competition?
No, Dan Patrick Show used to go to Pebble Beach every year for the Celebrity Pro-Am, and there was a lot of fun things going on. It was the greatest time ever. I actually would be sitting at a dinner table with Matt Ryan here and Clint Eastwood 2 tables over, and
Whoa.
Bill Murray. Didn't get to talk to any of them. Clint was, but I have all these pictures of me like with Clint in the background pretending we're talking.
I can
Wait, so
already
two questions.
feel the aura.
How did you win the gift certificate? And 2, what would be your opening line
You
to
know
Clint
what?
Eastwood? How do you start a conversation with that guy?
I mean, it's obvious what the. Do you feel
He's
lucky?
lucky?
No,
He's scared.
you don't. He had an aura. Don't talk to me. He sort of kind of runs that tournament famously. I think he was the mayor there.
Aura.
Right around there. He's the mayor of Carmel or one of those towns. But he was probably 91 there. I think
Okay.
he's still working. Maybe. I mean, he's incredible. But yeah, no, Clint Eastwood is someone you don't go up to. You could go up to anyone. You're very good about that. You would not have gone up to him.
I don't know what my opener would be to Clint Eastwood. That's a tough one.
No, it's Bill Murray. Forget it. Do
Well,
not-
Bill Murray, I wouldn't be able to help myself.
I know what I would tell him.
Oh, Bill Murray you would get the coldness like you've never seen before in their life.
Well, that's the risk you take when you approach a famous person. You got to.
There's no one like him, though.
You know what you ask Clint Eastwood? You say, you're 90 years old. Why don't you stop working?
I'm not saying that to Clint Eastwood.
Bill Murray would shut you down in a way that would make you miserable for a month. He is mean.
I know, but I could quote a line from What About Bob?
He would hate you.
He would hate me.
If you quoted What About Bob, he wouldn't. He hates everybody, I think, because.
But I wouldn't go up to him and do like the Caddyshack stuff about the llama.
Don't step on his foot like that guy in that viral video. You saw that video of that guy stepping on his foot?
Oh,
he was ready to punch that guy in the face.
No, there's a lot of videos of people approaching Bill Murray and him not liking it.
Which is funny because there's a flip side of this thing where apparently Bill Murray comes up to people on the streets in New York City behind them and just covers their eyes. And then we look around, they see it's Murray, and he goes, "No one will ever believe you." Like 15 people have the same story. The guy's a certified psychopath, but you can't approach him, and he can do that to strangers.
Let's find him, and you go approach him and see how it goes. Because I'll tell you, people were trying to approach him that night, and it did not go well.
I feel like doing that to Bill Murray now.
What's that?
I feel like doing that to Bill Murray now. Just walking up behind him and being, guess who?
Here's the other part. You're at the Celebrity Pro-Am, which is basically synonymous with you. How are you going to be a jerk at that thing? I get it. Someone interrupts your intimate dinner or, you're just trying to go about your day. That I get celebrities being salty about. But you're literally at an event. How do you think people aren't going to come up to you?
You have no idea. Bill Murray, the rules are way different. He is, if you could go up to President Obama or President Trump easier than you go up to Bill Murray. He is. I think it was either Corey Pavin or Jim Furyk, who I totally glommed onto.
Yeah.
I'm
smart.
like,
Giannis.
and then, you know who was great? Chris O'Donnell from, what's that movie?
Son of a Woman.
Son of a Woman, yeah. What a nice guy.
Yeah, I've interviewed him before. He's very nice.
I was hanging out with that crowd.
Yeah, that's a good crowd.
Yeah, no, there was an A-list crowd. I was.
He was Robin.
Yeah, I'm about to say Chris O'Donnell. You mean Robin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was A-list maybe for a moment.
Right, and his brother is does he have a famous brother too?
Yeah, Neil.
Neil O'Connell?
Definitely not Neil.
That'd be amazing.
Anyway, it's Jerry O'Connell, right? Are they brothers? Or I have the wrong family. He's got anyway, we knew him through his first relative, like either his cousin or his brother. So he knew the Dan Patrick Show crew and was like hanging out with us all night. That's not what I was bothered about. None of this has anything to do with Bill Murray or Clint Eastwood or any of those people.
Okay. What bothered you from yesterday's show?
I said, I think the expectations are changing. I thought everyone was down on the 49ers, and now everyone's back in. You're like, no one ever got down on the 49ers. Everybody was down on the 49ers. Their Super Bowl odds dipped. Their win total dipped. I feel like everyone was out on the 49ers. Then everyone's coming back in this week after they signed Brock Purdy. And you're like, you contested that I said that there was a dip in expectations.
Well, I think people saw the schedule, and they literally have, according to some metrics, the easiest schedule in the league.
But that was out there since January 3rd.
I can't help what Vegas does, but here's my thing.
Vegas hasn't changed at all. They've been, they still don't have them as a favorite. They're still 7th or 8th.
Yeah, I think they might be wrong about that. I mean, I guess here's the thing. The 49ers, so they get a contract extension done yesterday with Fred Warner. So in the span of since Friday, they've now gotten 2 major contracts done. They got Brock Purdy done, and now Fred Warner. It's a 3-year, $63 million contract extension. It doesn't kick in, I don't think, until 2 years from now. He still had 2 years left on the deal, and now he gets 3 years on top of it. It's going to take him to the 20.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the Manny show in my head.
All right, well, guys, let's do one show. So here's the thing. The 49ers haven't. I get being excited about this year because I think they, got rid of some guys they probably needed to. The schedule is a lot easier, but they just re-signed their own guys. So, yeah, people can be excited that this didn't bleed into July or whatever, and that's good. That's definitely a good thing for the 49ers. But who did they add? 11 guys in the draft. Okay, get excited about that, but they just re-signed their own dudes.
I felt like a month ago when they were losing all their veterans, everyone was like, oh, this is coming to an end. I felt like people had given up on the Niners. I really do. I think that was the energy out there.
But some of the guys they got rid of were guys who were injured a lot.
You're saying that now. I think you were down on this team about a month and a half ago.
Well, what I was down on was the Brock Purdy contract and how deep this was going to linger into the season. And they proved me wrong on that. They got it done before Memorial Day.
So to you, it's the timing of these contracts that really makes you optimistic about them, at least more optimistic than a week ago.
I said this yesterday. There's a world where the Brock Purdy contract is not a slam dunk.
Yeah, by the way, I still think the Niners have a lot of issues. I just think that that there has been a sea change in the viewpoint of this team after they signed Purdy. I really do. But, I mean, maybe I'm on an island on that one. I feel like people are like, wow, they didn't let, I think what you said, they didn't let it bleed in training camp. They kind of know what they're doing now. But I think everyone was too down on them after last year because they were terrible last year.
Oh, it was bad. 6 wins. I mean, last place in the division.
Okay, so by the way, Chris O'Donnell's brother is John O'Donnell.
Okay.
Johnny O, which is a shirt where you see the guy with the surfboard, a very popular brand. That's Chris O'Donnell's brother.
Right?
Yes, so he was good friends with us, and that's how we knew Chris. I got him confused with all sorts of other brothers.
Yeah, Chris O'Donnell and Jerry O'Connell, definitely.
I know,
they might be related, but not brothers.
Yeah. But John O'Donnell is you guys know this brand, right?
I'm familiar with it, yeah.
Yeah, it's very popular in Macy's. Scotty
Macy's.
Scheffler would wear it if he wasn't sponsored by Nike. It's a very big golf brand. Anyway, that's my O'Donnell story.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there you go.
I got a Chris O'Donnell story. He came in at SI, and he was very proud of the fact, and I kind of respect this, but he was very proud of the fact that he takes his kid to a lot of sporting events. Right. This was many years ago. The kid was kind of younger, like 6, 7 years old. And he takes him to a lot of sporting events, no matter what they are, baseball games, football, whatever, the whole deal. And he said it's very important to him that he doesn't always get free comped tickets. And he takes his kid and they sit in the nosebleed section to try to teach his child, you don't get everything free in life all the time. You gotta, work for what, earn what you want. And that he wants his kid to see sports from all these different vantage points. You don't just get to sit in the front row in the comfy seats. Made sure to get that across on the interview.
I think that's an unnecessary topper by you. You could have just let my O'Donnell story stick.
You guys didn't think that was interesting from Robin?
That was a topper.
All right.
I was just stopped.
Who had the better story?
Well, mine was first, so I think that's going to get the...
Did I just one-up you?
Yeah, I felt like I was dropping a lot of names there, and you felt like you had to jump in with a topper.
I don't have anything else. I've never met Corey Pavin. I mean, let alone Eastwood. I just think it's also funny.
Jim Furyk. Don't forget Jim Furyk. Kind of looks like me.
And Perloff also is somehow the Bill Murray gatekeeper.
Oh,
you can't go up to Bill Murray. No.
Oh, my God. Please. I would love to watch you go up to Bill Murray. It would be, well, maybe because you're a woman, it'd be different.
By the way, I think Perloff's in a new movie. I've seen some set photos of a movie, and I think I know who Perloff is playing.
Who?
Dirty Harry sequel?
You're Galactus. Have you seen the Fantastic Four official photo of Galactus? It looks just like you.
Who?
Galactus.
What? Yeah, I did see the trailer. Who's Galactus?
No, not the trailer. The picture, the promo picture of Galactus came out this weekend, and it looks like you. They keep saying it looks like Jeff Van Gundy, but I think it looks like you.
EJ. I saw that picture. It's 100% Van Gundy.
Right. No, I think it looks like Perloff.
That doesn't sound very complimentary.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't put Perloff in the Van Gundy category. It looks like he hasn't slept in a millennium.
Jeff Van Gundy.
But it's one of those, like, is it green or blue thing? What I saw was a quote tweet that said, now I can't unsee this. And it was a response to a tweet that said, that's Jeff Van Gundy of this. And I didn't know who that was. I just saw Van Gundy's face in this, like, epic mega costume.
Oh, yeah, that does look like Van Gundy.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not taking that as a compliment.
I think it looks like you. That doesn't look like Perloff?
Okay.
I don't think I'm on the right image.
Damn it.
I don't know. I don't get this.
Yeah, it looks a little like me, but it's definitely not a compliment. So, and by the way,
Galactus, you're a world eater. That's a great compliment. What are you talking about?
This is Ralph Ineson as the actor?
Maybe. I don't know. I forgot who's playing Galactus. Galactus is one of the greatest Marvel villains. If you're Galactus, that's baller.
You've been away a little bit. You forget that you are not surrounded by 4 comic book nerds,
This movie will
EJ.
make $1 billion. Give me a break. We're not doing that.
Shut up, EJ. You
I
look
don't
like
know about
Galactus. Come on. Come back to Earth, EJ.
You just talking about Chris O'Donnell. Who's talked about Chris O'Donnell in 15 years? What are you talking about?
I mean, fair.
He's definitely on an NCIS show right now.
Yeah, Chris
so my mom
O'Donnell
is well
gets
aware of him.
Good for Chris. Why are you guys such nerds?
He's been on that show for 25 years.
Yeah.
Guy's probably got 7 mansions.
And to use your argument, somehow like 27 million Americans watch that show every Tuesday night, so people are well aware of him.
NCIS LA. He's been on there since 2009.
Let's
That's
see
a
how
hell
many
of
people
a
watch
run.
Fantastic Four in a month.
That's pretty good for O'Donnell. Maybe
This
you
is
just take your kid to the front row.
Let me
Who cares?
just fill you in on Fantastic Four. There's been 26 Fantastic Four movies in the last 8 years, Maggie, and none of them have been good. So
You're telling me this might as well be Japanese. I have no idea what you guys are talking
You think
about.
there are a lot of Spider-Man movies? They keep doing Fantastic Four until they bleed this brand into the ground.
There's another Spider-Man movie
no.
in the works. Yeah.
Oh, with Tom Holland?
Well, and I know what I saw was one of the girls from Stranger Things is going to be Tobey Maguire's daughter.
Well, there's a lot of rumors going around. We don't know what's going to happen yet.
Whoa.
They thought she may be Mayday Parker. They thought she may be Jean Grey. They thought she may be Mary Jane. We don't know yet.
So there you go.
Suddenly a hush fell
Get
over
ready.
the show. I have no idea what you guys are
Yeah,
talking
no,
about.
EJ, you're definitely on a different level here, which is fine. You're probably with the crowd, but remember, we're totally ignorant. And even I think I'm a Marvel fan, and I don't know Galactus. But I'm down
And we've
now.
never heard of the actor. Good for him, though. Bogusch, hang with us, will you? I'm not going to start an update right this second because we have a lot to get to, including we found out a lot more about our pal Giannis yesterday, and we'll tell you what we learned in a moment.
Snitches get stitches.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Good morning. Andrew Bogusch has headlines for us on what was a busy night last night. We're setting up for an even bigger one tonight.
Guys, all your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance from motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
I'm doing May.
Unfortunately, the Eagles are fairly good under Nick Sirianni. A Super Bowl title, another appearance in that game, a 48-20 overall record. So Sirianni gets a multi-year extension. We still don't know financial details. His original deal was expiring after the coming season.
Go Birds. So I'm an Eagles fan. I'm from Philadelphia.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Even I will admit, this Nick Sirianni turnaround is one of the craziest turnarounds in sports. Like when they were 2-2 last year, I would not have predicted in a million years that Nick Sirianni would be considered one of the better coaches in the NFL. And now I think he is.
Yeah, so I was a little off when I thought Nick Sirianni would be the first coach fired last year.
Yeah.
Slightly off.
But you really weren't that off.
So can I say something about this contract? I don't think this means anything. And here's why.
Just a bit outside.
This is the thing about Sirianni. He's a vibes guy, right? He doesn't call the offense, and he doesn't have control over the defense. It's more of a game manager type thing, right?
I guess so.
Right. They got to the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. They demolished the Kansas City Chiefs. I think a lot of people are giving Howie Roseman, the GM, more credit for that, for building this juggernaut team. And I think Nick Sirianni is one side eye from Jalen Hurts away from actually getting fired. Like Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. I'm sure he got an extension after they won that Super. They beat Tom Brady. I mean, it was no small thing. And I just don't think it means anything. I think Nick Sirianni could just as easily be out if they have 2 bad seasons.
Oh, so yeah, no, I've totally changed my opinion. Now I think he's the man. Highest winning percentage of any coach currently and 5th highest of all time. That's crazy.
Yeah, he came into an Eagles situation where they were really great. The Giants have been down. The Commanders until last year were down. Dallas has been up and down.
Yeah.
The Commanders. They played no quarterbacks like in 2 different playoff runs. You look at their last year they played every quarterback, but years before that they didn't. So he's got this gaudy win-loss record. I'm just still not sold on Sirianni. I'm sticking with my original opinion.
Well,
I think he'll be fired in the next 3 years if they don't perform.
I think he is a little safer than that. I understand where you're coming from because a lot of winning coaches have been fired.
Also, I don't think Howie Roseman likes he saw Chip Kelly come in years ago and basically put him on ice. I don't think he wants a powerful coach anymore.
No, but they have a great relationship because I don't think Howie gets all the credit. That's all Howie wants. A couple things. If you watch the Wired of the Super Bowl, Sirianni's in total control of the game. I think they
blew them out. This one was not even a game.
But I was at the party, and I noticed something too. Like, I'm like, Sirianni's the alpha in this room. There is no doubt about it. Like, this guy has so much more presence than I thought. He just won a Super Bowl, so it's easy to feel that way. I watch again the sound of him during the game. It's like, he is really in charge of this. Like, guys respond to him. I think that's probably the most important thing to the coach is that you can be a leader. Not that he's an X and O guy like Shanahan. I think he's just fine. I think, honestly, he's more likely to be a Hall of Fame coach than to get fired in 3 years.
The only thing that stopped him is the dry heat of Arizona. So you just stay away from that in a Super Bowl and you're fine.
He was tired?
I mean, that was your take when they fell apart 2 years ago, that they were the hangover of the Super Bowl.
It's how the NBA works. As you play too long into the off season, then you're tired. Actually, I do think that way. That's not a bad take. I've had worse takes.
Go Birds! Well, Super Bowl hangover is one thing. You had they 10-1, and then they went 1-5, and you said it was the Super Bowl.
They were worn down. They played into February, right? That's
in the heat, dry heat.
Let's
move on to still Philadelphia.
That's a one. There are a couple takes that you really bother you, right? About that.
I just think that one was funny. I'm not bothered by it. Bothered by this, maybe.
Awkward silence.
It feels like they're bothered.
3-2 is blasted way back to right field, and that hits off the third deck. A titanic blast from Kyle Schwarber.
Scott Fransky on Phillies radio. That was homer number 16 this season, number 300 career for Kyle Schwarber. It went roughly 400 and a million feet off the facing of the third deck and right at Coors Field. The Phils running away late for a 9-3 win over those pesky or terrible Rockies. Philly is 16-5 over the last 3 weeks. They now have a half-game lead on the Mets atop the NL East because New York lost at Fenway last night, 3-1. They've now dropped 4 of their last 5. The Diamondbacks, 9-5 winners at Dodger Stadium. The Royals, a 3-1 win in San Francisco. Chris Bubik, 7 shutout. Sonny Gray, K10 over 6. As the Cardinals took care of the Tigers, 11-4. St. Louis has won 13-15. And the Marlins remain good at this.
2 men out in the bottom of the 9th. And the 2-1. I want to rip down the first base line. That's in for a base hit. This could win it. It's rolling all the way to the wall. Hill in to tie it. Sanoja in to win it. And it's a walk-off 2-run double for Jesus Sanchez. The Marlins' magic continues.
That's walk-off win number 6 already this season for the Marlins. 8-7 over the Cubs after wasting a 6-3 lead.
That's like half of their wins.
Yeah, the winning rally began after they were down to their last strike. WNBA last night, Paige Beckers and the Wings still winless, 0-2 after a 79-71 home loss to the Storm. Beckers 19 points and 8 assists. And I don't think I mentioned this yesterday. During Game 7 for the Leafs and Panthers, referee Chris Rooney took a stick to the face very close to his right eye. He was bleeding profusely as he was let off the ice, but since he's a hockey guy, Rooney wants to work again this postseason. He, of course, needed stitches, but there's no lasting damage to that eye, thankfully. Guys, back to you.
Maggie, by the way,
Yeah.
I just got an update from the control booth. You know, you have Shohei in the Maggie Perloff home run derby.
17 homers.
Yeah, because I thought, Schwarber might be leading the league. Shohei's got 17.
I know.
You should be talking more trash about this.
He's carrying my home run derby team.
Who are your other 2? We have 3.
Yeah,
per
I also
person.
have Ellie De La Cruz, and I have Vlad Guerrero Jr., which was a big miss. I thought that
Really?
he wasn't going to sign the contract this year, and he was going to have like this prove-it season.
Yeah.
Then he signed the contract like 4 days in.
Now we're cruising.
5 home runs for Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Rough.
How many does Matt Olson have?
Keep looking. Okay, this Giannis Ask Me Anything was really hilarious to us for a variety of different reasons. First of all, Giannis, how bored can you be? You're clearly meeting with the team tomorrow, right? This is when the big showdowns or the big meetings happening tomorrow between the Giannis and the Bucks. And Giannis is now open to playing somewhere else. So he's answering all these questions on social media. One said, of all the cities you've ever been to, which city made you the happiest to be there, not counting your own hometown? Giannis, the Florida cities. So Miami and Orlando? Okay.
Yeah, that's your...
Giving hints?
I would think the Heat, because they were linked to him before.
What's your... But Orlando might be the more like up and coming. Is there a team in Jacksonville? What's your favorite city to play in on the road? New York.
Knicks.
Everyone loves the Garden.
Take me to the Garden.
Okay. That seems like he likes the Knicks. You're confusing me now.
Well, and then he was asked, who is your starting all-time starting 5? Steph, MJ, Kobe, KD, and LeBron. Three of these guys are still playing. Does he want to play with Steph? Does he want to play with Kevin Durant somehow? Does he want to team up with LeBron James? Are we supposed to read anything into that?
Well, that's more like you gotta see those guys, so you gotta put them on your all-time team. You can't put a retired guy. Like, you gotta play LeBron. Of course you're gonna put him.
Well, but he has Jordan, obviously, and then Kobe, may he rest in peace. I don't know. These guys are still active. He could play with Kevin Durant if they really wanted to.
That one
How's
I'm
that
not
gonna
reading as
happen?
much into the other ones. We're very specific. That one is a little more vague.
How about this? A funny one. First ever NBA jersey that he had as a kid. A fake Carmelo Anthony Denver jersey.
Love it.
I had that jersey. Not fake, though.
Look at you. And do you have a favorite NFL team now that you've been in the States for a while? He went Packers and Dallas Cowboys.
Makes
Someone
sense.
want to get Giannis, like the history of those two teams?
You can't do that
You
one.
can't root for both those teams.
terrible.
What are
It
you,
sounds like
Perloff?
LeBronish, though. Like, he's following LeBron. The GOAT is
But at least
likes two
LeBron did the
teams.
Browns and the Cowboys, different conferences. You can't, those teams play in the playoffs.
Well, he's got to
They
do
have
the
a huge history.
But it's the same thing because he's got to say the Packers because it's his hometown team, but he's secretly a Cowboys fan. That's what's going on.
That's unfortunate.
And his favorite genre of music, heavy metal.
I don't believe that.
It's a weird one.
Did you see the movie too? Do the movie.
I saw his favorite TV show is Game of Thrones.
Coming to America, favorite
And
movie.
Coming to
That
America.
makes sense.
Said it reminded him a lot of his. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
McDowell's.
reminds me of my childhood. Coming to America.
So, by the way, Bogusch, you just say that you don't want him in Brooklyn. Aren't you going to make a play? Because I'm trying desperately on social media to get Giannis to come to the Sixers. Don't we all want Giannis?
How much heavy metal do they have in Brooklyn these days?
As much as he needs.
Can they lure him? Got a heavy metal
Yeah,
concert?
Knicks fans over there, you should be making your play.
They don't
We're in
need
the-
him.
We're in the conference finals right now. I can't focus on Giannis offseason.
EJ doesn't have time for this, guys, okay? He's got to focus on the Pacers.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
The Caitlin Clark-Angel Reese rivalry still fun? Starting to feel like work. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Pearl, you said yesterday you don't think that the sport needs this rivalry, right? Because as long as you have the Caitlin aspect of it, that's really, she's the cash cow. She's the sort of beacon. She's the one who's bringing all the casual eyeballs to the WNBA so that this rivalry doesn't matter. And I push back on that. I think that, you know, the origin story of how they played against each other in college, and I think rivalries always help sports. We want more of those. We don't want them going away. But I will concede this. There's something about this that's becoming not fun. First of all, Caitlin answering questions about this yesterday felt like she would have rather been getting her fingernails pulled out of her hands than answering more questions about unruly fan behavior, you know, what's going on with her and Angel. Do they actually like each other? You know, it just feels like they're both so over it. Maybe Angel's not, but Caitlin certainly does. Manny, let's hear from Caitlin Clark, shall we? First of all, the WNBA is investigating some hateful comments that Angel Reese said she heard, and the Sky Bench said they heard. Of course, you have to investigate that. Go ahead.
It's super loud in here, although I didn't hear anything. You know, I think, you know, that's why they're doing the investigation. That's why they're looking into it. That doesn't mean nothing happened. So you just trust the league's investigation, and I'm sure they'll do the right thing.
Okay, more from Caitlin. Obviously condemns this kind of harassment.
Players. We talked about this in the past, and how it should be an inclusive environment. You wanted to speak on that. Again,
yeah, there's no place for that in our game. There's no place for that in society, and you know, certainly we want every person that comes into our arena, whether player, whether fan, to have a great experience. So I appreciate the league doing that. I appreciate, you know, the Fever organization has been at the forefront of that since, you know, really day one, and what they're doing. So we'll, you know, hopefully the investigation, we'll leave that up to them to find anything and take the proper action if so.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something so much more than the basketball with the two of them, which, to be fair, can make a great rivalry, Pearl, maybe when it's about more than sports, but it feels like it's always getting into this commentary about gender and race and society and where we are. Like, it's so far away from sports, it almost feels like we lost the plot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised Caitlin answered that. I would have thought that she'd be for having racist comments in the stands. I love how she's just like, it's so boilerplate. Of course. Anyway, it was a funny question. Not a funny question. It was an obvious question. So I think people are trying to present, and this is what I was kind of getting at yesterday, that Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese is bird magic, which is a rivalry that fueled the NBA through the 80s. And I think Caitlin Clark is much closer to Michael Jordan, who did have intense rivalries, but it really was the Jordan compared to somebody else. So Caitlin's
Jordan
like
versus everybody.
Jordan versus, I got into this with our buddy Dave Sepperson on Twitter yesterday, former SI employee. Jordan versus Reggie Miller. Jordan versus Patrick Ewing. Jordan versus Magic. Jordan versus Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Caitlin will have multiple rivalries. I don't think that they are tied together at the hip and are going to carry this through. And I think that Angel Reese has her own stardom that is going to be separate from Caitlin Clark as well. Because I was watching that highlight again. People forget that was an incredibly athletic. She might be one of the greatest rebounders in WNBA history.
Right.
She's going to have her own trajectory. I don't think they're going to be tied together. So I think you're right. I think people are manufacturing this rivalry, trying to glom them together, which isn't really. I don't see it that way basketball-wise at all.
Yeah, I don't think we're manufacturing the rivalry. I think it existed. We watched them play against each other in the national championship game and then the next year in an Elite Eight. Those games, real stakes, real bad blood, and I don't mind the bad blood. It's just it feels like everything has to be this greater commentary either on society or it's got to be a greater commentary on like women and how they interact with each other. And it's like, it can't just be about competition. Like I'm even seeing in our chat, and we love you guys. This is, and even Kevin, one of our favorites, texts us a picture of his breakfast every morning. He said it's jealousy. It's jealousy. Is it jealousy, LeBron and Jordan? Like no one assigns those kind of words when it's two men.
Oh my God. This is Jordan launched a documentary out of jealousy for LeBron winning that title. Yes,
I don't know if people
one,
say it
there's
that
no
way.
pettier rivalry than Jordan LeBron. Let's just start with that.
All right, Kevin, you're right.
Yeah.
I apologize.
But no, I understand what you're saying. But that's why I feel like it's manufactured. Like we keep assigning things to this rivalry that aren't really there.
Right. So the question is the rivalry fun? Like, and listen, I don't know if rivalries are fun for the people who are in them. Like, is it really fun when you're, Ryan Day and you've got to go play in the big house? I don't know if you would characterize that as fun.
Yeah, but again, like Ryan Day in Michigan, that is a rivalry for the eons.
Right.
Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is not going to be that. I just don't see it any way possible that they're going to be competing head to head. They don't play different. They play different positions. Their teams are on different timelines. I don't feel like that's going to be anything like Michigan, Ohio State.
Right, but I guess when you talk about our rivalries fun, it's like from whose vantage point? Michigan, Ohio State, that's fun for us, where we get to be like one layer removed. I don't know if it's fun for the people who are in it. I don't know if it's fun when Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal would play each other, all the time for these high stakes things, but it was a great rivalry and it helped the sport and it grows the sport and all of that. The one thing about the Caitlin Angel rivalry, whatever level you think it's on now or it existed, it happened, it's happening right now, but it just doesn't feel like at this point it's actually growing the audience in a positive way. You talk about Magic and Larry, that is credited with growing the NBA in a way where things were on tape delay until these two came along and the growth of the league exploded and the Michael Jordan took it to another level and the international part of it took it to a different level. This doesn't feel fun. It feels like you can't even talk about it. I'm not talking about even just online at all because you end up getting into this discourse. Like yesterday, we had a great caller, Billy in Toronto, who called in to bring up, Caitlin Clark's Time Sports Person of the Year speech where she acknowledged her privilege. Like it just gets so far away from basketball, Pearl. Like we can talk about the flagrant foul and we can talk about whether it should have been a flagrant and what happened, but that's like maybe 5% of the conversation where 95% of it is about gender, race, society. Mm-hmm. People assign so much on these two women. It's just like everyone killed it. It's not fun anymore. You disagree? No,
I just think that, first of all, I got to be honest, I've gotten into have you never dove into those waters?
No, I'm just saying it's now that's the only water.
Yeah, but I think it's always been the only water because I don't think that the rivalry has existed like you think it. I just think Angel, they're such different players that this whole thing has been kind of manufactured from the start to me.
See, that's why I think they need to be playing each other in more high-profile games because when they were playing for the national championship, when you're playing in a one and done in the Elite Eight, it does actually feel like the basketball is the thing. now, I mean, listen, that game was a blowout on Saturday, but it just feels like now that it's crossed over into the WNBA, it's like it's weirdly not about the hoops anymore. I don't know. EJ, you still find this? I'm sorry.
I would love, by the way, like a real rivalry. Like I'd like to see Angel Reese go up against another power forward in the finals, and that be the battle. Or Juju Watkins, I think, could come along and be the next transcendent player after Caitlin. And what if they were a rival? I don't think Paige Becker is going to be quite that good. But what if Juju Watkins was coming in like LeBron and Caitlin was like Jordan? They went head to head. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like I think Caitlin could grow if she gets to the finals, she's on a much better team than Angel this year. The WNBA is going to explode. And it has nothing to do with the rivalry.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out Paige. I think she accounted for like 50% of all of Dallas's points yesterday. She had some
she's gonna be good.
She had some kind of crazy.
But is she going to be transcendent, like MVP level?
Possibly.
I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't count her out.
She's a young player. She's not picking the draft.
Yeah, I think Watkins is going to be something.
Yeah, Watkins
big.
is great. Nobody debates that.
No, we can't wait for her to get
she's
to
just. I mean, hopefully she can get back from her knee injury. Right, that's a big.
Yeah, no, I know.
Part of what Paige we're talking about and the player she is, part of it is injuries, right?
Yeah.
So Juju's dealing with the exact same thing. So, and I'm not wishing anything against Juju, but that's a reality that we have to see what player she's coming after the ACL. But I agree with Maggie. I just feel like there's nothing fun about this. Like, I think when you watch Ohio State versus Michigan, you watch North Carolina versus Duke, or you watched. If, I'm a Knicks fan, but people outside of New York, if you're watching Knicks versus Pacers, I think you watch these games saying, like, yeah, those people are very intense, but this is fun. It's just basketball. We're talking about these two teams that hate each other, and they're going out there and they're competing hard. There's nothing about this anymore that's about that. It's always about, you got media members going on massive beefs, talking about each other's wives. You got people talking about existential crises happening all over the world. Like, this has become so beyond that. I think Magic and Bird are probably the only rivalry I can think of in modern times that's kind of comparative. But at least when the Lakers and the Celtics played, you still were excited to watch them play.
Right.
I just had no excitement to watch Fever versus Sky. The Fever are a team that could push for a WNBA title. They have an MVP candidate in Caitlin Clark. Chicago is not a championship contender, and Angel Reese is probably an all-star level player, but not anywhere near an MVP caliber player. So to me, now we're only here for the toxicity. And then I ask, like, how can a rivalry, to me, for fans, really become enjoyable if that's all you got? I don't think that it will. I think eventually this is going to become a thing where I think people are going to be tuned out from it.
But wait, I have a question, though, for both of you. Do you guys agree with me that she's like Jordan? It doesn't matter if she has a rival, she will grow the sport the same exact rate, whether there's a rival or not?
I disagree, because I think Jordan, I disagree with the premise that Jordan didn't have rivals.
He did. Larry Bird was one of them. The Pistons were another one.
The Pistons were that's a huge rivalry.
But that didn't, I mean, the highest rated Jordan games, obviously, were against the Jazz. Like,
they played 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it didn't matter, though. I mean, but the comment, like, Jordan could have picked anybody rival. My point is, like, it didn't matter who it was. It could be Karl Malone. It could be Ewing. It could be Barkley. It's all Jordan.
So Jordan also was like manufacturing things in his mind, where he created rivals out of pure thin air.
But we didn't tune in to see Michael Jordan versus any one individual. There was no Bird Magic dynamic. It was Michael Jordan. Like, the biggest games were just against a whole slew of different players.
I think the better comparison than Jordan for you for that then is Serena Williams. Serena Williams doesn't have a rival.
But she didn't explode the sport. Exactly like Jordan did, though. I think that
women's tennis.
She definitely helped.
Is women's tennis a big deal now?
Her and Venus both did a lot for as far as like prize money and getting equal stuff. Now, it was funny because Serena, they tried to make Maria Sharapova her rival, but Sharapova can never beat her.
Right.
So I think the all-time record is Serena 1 million and Sharapova like 1. And so you can't really make it a rival. It's got to be a back and forth. And that's the other thing where this may not work with Caitlin and Angel for long, is if they're never good at the same time. They'll both be good, but if their teams aren't good at the same time, then that obviously would hurt it as well.
I'm telling you, I think if you're talking about the growth of the WNBA, it does not matter. It'll be Caitlin, because she had 9 million viewers for the LSU Iowa final. Then she had 18 million for the South Carolina Iowa final. It's just all you need. If you really want to grow the WNBA, all you need is Caitlin to get through right now. You don't need a rival at all.
But you can still answer this question. Yeah. Do you find Caitlin and Angel fun right now?
I could care less. I immediately tuned out on all these stories. But I've done that. By the way, you think this is today that they're doing this? Listen, remember when I went viral for some weird thing I said about flagrant foul, where I was like, Caitlin.
You said it was
flopped.
A basketball play.
Yeah, like Caitlin flopped, and I had 1 million people. Yeah, of course. I mean, the energy around this story. You could get canceled for taking a WNBA take. It's insane. Like, there's been way too much societal pressure. And EJ, you nailed it on social media the other day. It hasn't been about the basketball for a long time, and that's. But I do think it'll become more about the basketball. I think there will be more eyeballs on the sport, and everyone will start investing in the players as the sport grows, right? So all the side stuff will go away.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, here's the thing about the rivalries, right? They grow sports, no matter what it is. Women's tennis, women's basketball, men's basketball, it doesn't matter. But is there a point where this rivalry is actually turning people off? It's not growing it anymore. No. It's making it so far off the track of the sport that, you can't even have a hard foul anymore,
I don't think that'll happen at all. I think the sport's going to really grow this year.
Let's go to Kevin. He's our pal in San Antonio. Kevin, I love the waffles. That was a twist. Kevin sends us a picture of his breakfast every morning. The waffles look delicious, dude. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. I don't like, this is not nothing but it's not a rivalry. It's jealousy. Because it started when Iowa played LSU. They lost. She got mad and she tried to have a baby fit or something. Then Iowa went to the championship and they lost to South Carolina. But see, that's jealousy. That's jealousy. Ain't no rivalry at all.
Who's jealous of who? They're jealous of Caitlin?
Yes, they are.
Jealous of Caitlin. Okay.
Angel Reese is very jealous. That's why she showed her anger on the court.
Yeah, but Kevin, appreciate the call. And again, these waffles look really good.
Those are big waffles.
I'm in the mood for waffles because I have to eat 24 hours worth of them coming up soon. But here's the thing about Angel being jealous of Caitlin. Angel's got a lot. Can you always be jealous of somebody? Sure. I'm not going to tell her. I don't know what's in her mind and in her heart. But I'm watching Angel have a national McDonald's commercial. She's in every women's magazine. She's a cultural icon. Are we getting close to that as far as women athletes? She's transcended the sport. She's crossed over, Pearl. Maybe not in a way that Caitlin has, but in a pretty, I'm sure, lucrative way. So...
Yeah,
is she that jealous? Or she said she has to be the villain? But honestly, if that helps your brand, you don't have to be the villain forever.
Well, that's the problem, because one thing Draymond Green said years ago that I thought was very profound, ironically, was he talked about how if he had one regret in his career, he regrets embracing the role of the villain early in his career because it never leaves you. He said when he saw Trae Young doing the stuff he was doing at Madison Square Garden, he actually wanted to talk to him and say, hey, you don't want that, because what happens is that is the only way they're going to see you for the rest of your career. Now, Draymond has a lot of other issues, right?
I was going to say,
he's added on to that, right?
He could have changed that narrative through the 13 years he's been in the league, but he's still out there committing ridiculous flagrants.
It's very possible, but then I did think the Trae Young example was poignant because people still hate Trae Young for really, he's a little dorky, but almost overall, he doesn't do anything, right? He's kind of just a normal basketball player, but he still wears this villain moniker for something that happened 4 or 5 years ago. So I don't know, Maggie. I do think that once you stamp yourself and decided that she was going to be that villain, I don't think you can kind of undo it, which I think is what she's trying to do.
But I ask you
this, so frustrated.
And I'm not trying to be callous about it. Has it been bad for business? And the personal stuff that she has to deal with, by the way, people saying sexual harassing things on social media, I hate to do this. This happens to women, whether you're the face or whether you're the heel. And I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying if you think that just being likable means Caitlin Clark, we think is all likable, right? She has a stalker coming around her physical space. Angel Reese has had people come up to her on the street. It doesn't matter if you're the good guy or the villain. There's famous people, and especially famous women, are going to attract some really creepy characters.
That is fair, Maggie. But at the same time, we know the legion of people who are Caitlin Clark supporters. And it's just a lot larger than if she decided to pick this beef with Juju Watkins or pick this beef with another not anonymous college basketball player, but another women's basketball player, she just would not have this amount of quote unquote hatred, right? They had a literal brawl on the court with South Carolina, where people were actually coming on the court and swinging on people. I don't see South Carolina fans of Cardozo, who's ironically her teammate, coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm here for Cardozo," and threatening her. That's not what she's dealing with. So I do think, just like Trae Young picked his battle with Knicks fans, or Angel Reese picked your battle with Caitlin Clark, there's a difference with when you decide where you're going to be that villain.
Okay, but here's the thing. Trae Young also, I was there when he went to Madison Square Garden at a WWE event and came out and played the heel to the New York crowd. There's choices you make along the way where you either double down on it and it's good for business, or you really try to do some kind of image rehab makeover, whatever you feel like you feel misunderstood.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, just to kind of wrap a bow on that, I mean, Trae Young seems perfectly fine with that. He was trolling Knicks fans yesterday. So he's fine with that. But Angel Reese clearly seems like she's not. She doesn't seem very happy. She's talked about being depressed. She's talked about dealing with these issues. She was asked about Caitlin Clark. She very sternly was like, I don't want to talk about that. It seems like she is not having fun with this. She may be benefited from a business side. And there's an argument about whether or not you got to kind of take the sacrifice, but it doesn't seem like she's enjoying any of this.
But what happened after the play? That was I think what Kevin might have been getting at. She seemed to overreact pretty strongly to that flagrant foul.
Charging at Caitlin.
Yeah, and did she yell what did she yell at her?
She said, "You're wild for that." I think was what she was saying.
Did she mention why? Did she at some point say, "Why do you have a problem with me?" or something like that? She does seem to have a Caitlin issue.
Generally, this is what makes rivalries good when they get when they get personal. But for some reason, this has not been that way.
Did you see Caitlin try and put that rivalry to the side? She is not embracing it. And then after the game, Angel also tried to push away from it. This is I think Caitlin's done with the Angel rivalry. I got that sense. She's I'm not
America's not done.
I was going to say,
with her.
who decides that though?
But Caitlin keeps pushing it away. Watch her answer questions on that. She's like, yeah, this is just a basketball play, and so did Angel. I think Caitlin, because of what you said, is trying to push this thing away. She does not want. It's definitely not fun for the participants.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Do you still find the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese rivalry fun? Rivalry is supposed to be fun. Coming up, we got college football news for you. 2 historic programs. The rivalry may be coming to an end. Why?
What's up with that?
We'll explain next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Chasing trends, days on a quest. Comments pouring in, he's one of the best. From every corner of the internet's reach. Daily's voice. Ready to preach. Ready to preach. Reach it to preach. Living life in 20-second views. Scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daily's keeping score. YouTube's his love. He's begging for more. Double tap, clicking on that video. From sunrise to sunset, he never lets it go. Maggie Snappy Perloff's got it glow. Daddy's hooked, he's looking for the show. Chasing trends, Daddy's on a quest. Comments pouring in, he's one of the best. From every corner of the internet's reach. Daddy's voice. Pine Needles wakes up at dawn. Coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see. The Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. From highlights to the breaking news, every take you can't refuse. In the chat, he's always there with comments, questions, wisdom to share. Oh, Pine Needles, you're tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your light. Believe Bilatti's got something to say. Infinity's mice, he's feeling the dismay. NBA on NBC.
1 minute
What a
remaining.
shame.
$45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Got to tell you, all this talk about the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark dust up from the weekend. I'm a sucker. I've got into WNBA. I'm kind of excited. The Fever play tonight. I think it's on TV. Maybe it isn't. I feel like every Caitlin game's on TV. I will check it out because my take is if the Fever are contenders, like, watch out. The WNBA is going to explode this summer.
Let me tell you where that game is. Let's see. NBA TV.
Yeah. There you go. I have that.
Dream Fever, 7 o'clock Eastern. But you also have Timberwolves and
No, I know.
OKC. You're going to have the two TVs.
Oh, actually, so what time does that game start?
8:30.
Yeah, we'll get through most of the Dream Fever.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe the whole game.
8:30.
I know, 8:30.
But actually,
So
we
basically
actually
9
need
o'clock.
some WNBA gear. What's the name of that new team that I like?
The Valkyries?
Yes. What a logo. What a team.
Perloff's favorite team. What's their name again?
Yeah. Valkyries. You don't even know from Marvel. Valkyries is a big deal.
Oh, I didn't know it was a Marvel thing.
Well, it's actually a Greek mythology thing, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a
That's
big
what I
part
knew
of
it
the
from.
Marvel series, too.
Oh, of course. JT is in Atlanta. We're asking you today, is the Caitlin Angel rivalry, is it still fun? JT, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's fun anymore, but I think, the problem, I think, is kind of the opinion that Perloff has, right? Where he's saying, all you need is Caitlin, and then that's all you need, right? You don't need a rivalry. And I think that is what kind of rubs a lot of these women the wrong way, is that it's like she gets all the juice from the league. Now, granted, she did bring a lot of different, eyes and things to the league, much like Taylor Swift, or even if we want to be honest, this is really reminding me of the Tiger Woods when he first came to, the PGA,
No
and
doubt.
everybody was like, yo, bro, we've been here before. And it's like, no. Not like this, though. Like, people are here now for him that weren't here for you guys before this, right? Now, granted, you guys built this up, and it was a great league before he ever got here. But now that he's here, it's different. And it's very much like this. But there was a lot of resentment for some of the old heads and the people that had already been there and established themselves in the PGA when Tiger came along. Like, so what? I mean, like, what's he doing differently that we haven't done? We've won Masters. I mean, look at Jack. I mean, there's people that have dominated before and have been great before, but now all of a sudden this guy's here, and it's like, whoa! Yeah. And I feel like that's a lot of what's happening with Caitlyn, is that she's getting that resentment that Tiger got.
But let me ask you a question.
As far as, like,
JT,
so what?
JT, did Jordan get that? I'm trying to remember, and I don't remember. Michael Jordan came in, and for me, the game changer, when he took off from the foul line and dunk contest, the whole league was about him overnight. Did he get that resentment?
I think from
I don't think so, because I think yeah, well, and I think the Pistons themselves, right? They had the Jordan rules, right? Like, I think that there was they were like, hey, yeah, not this guy. He's not. We're going to show him and bring him down. But I think there were so many other great players at that time, and the league had already started to ascend to a level with, Bird and Magic, and I mean, it was already had its own trajectory, and he just built it up a notch. It was not the chasm that you see from where it was to where it is now that you saw in the PGA and as well as the WNBA with Caitlyn. So I think that's the thing. And when you hear people like you say, hey, all you need is her, I think anyone that, the women or people that are playing in the WNBA now hear that and go, what do you mean all you need is her?
Right,
what are we, chopped liver? I think that kind of is what builds that resentment or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say jealousy because I know that's a trigger word for Maggie.
I think it's like that signed to women a lot more than men, even though we know men get plenty jealous. JT, great call. Thank you for making it. I think there's also but the Tiger example is a good one, because even if guys were a little resentful of Tiger, first of all, Tiger also had to deal with a whole other slew of issues by being, a black man in this sport, and trying to navigate that. And that was not easy all the way around. But he made the purses bigger. Like, he literally helped everybody's bottom line, And I'm not saying Jack Nicklaus didn't, but I'm just saying, there was a tangible financial benefit for all the people who may have been complaining about it, because Tiger, created such a, such a big fan base and TV ratings and all of that stuff.
Oh, my God.
Same thing could happen for Caitlyn. So I'm not saying that any of the women who may be salty about this or feel like they're not getting their due shouldn't have their feelings, but ask yourself, is it going to help the league overall? What are we doing here? Are we messing around? Or are we trying to make money?
I would say also Jordan did the same thing. I mean, we saw the movie. There was no shoe industry until Michael Jordan came along, and then boom.
Yeah, not the same way.
A lot of players, there was none at all. I mean, Nike
the Converse weapons.
Nike reinvented the industry on the fly. Their stock went from $1 to $1,000 overnight with Jordan. I mean, it was a huge game changer for everybody.
Definitely a game changer. But there was Clyde Pumas, Magic, and Bird when the weapons. Those were very important to the time too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I just remember the Matt Damon movie. It seemed like he kind of invented the whole thing.
Movies.
His movie.
Hollywood debut.
No, I think that's close to reality. Shoe Dog was very.
Yeah.
No, anyway, but I think Tiger, Jordan, Caitlyn, I think that those people, really, you're right. They make a lot of money for other people.
To be fair, A'ja Wilson is the first woman in the WNBA to have her own signature shoe.
That's Nike.
Yep. I think.
And now Sabrina does too.
And then Caitlyn doesn't even have hers yet, right?
That's coming soon. But not yet.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We will get into the news surrounding Notre Dame and USC. This football rivalry, speaking of rivalries, that goes back 100 years, Pearl, now in jeopardy. Get to that in a minute. Andrew Bogusch has headlines for us.
And I've got my own college sports news. Yahoo Sports says power conferences are now floating around a draft of an agreement that would bind schools together in support of the pending House settlement. This document is a response to individual states creating laws that would allow their state schools to circumvent the new NIL rules. The power conferences want schools to promise to follow only the House settlement and never sue the new NIL clearinghouse over issues. Penalties for not signing could include conference expulsion or just not being able to play schools that have signed this agreement if it ever actually becomes something that's put on the table for people to sign up for.
I'm sorry, I must be ignorant on this. I didn't realize that state schools would have been able to circumvent this federal ruling.
Well, so individual states, Tennessee is the latest, according to this story, have put in their own things that basically would allow schools to add on NIL, third-party NIL money on top of the $20 million house settlement cap.
Right.
And therefore, so like Tennessee, Vandy, Memphis, their state schools, they would follow those guidelines, not the universal house settlement. And so the power conference was like, that we can't have that because, again, then we're an uneven playing field. So please sign this that says you won't do that, and you also won't sue our decision-making process.
Wait, I'm sorry. So the
Good
$20
luck.
million cap, which is not just for football, by the way, it's for all the athletic department,
Yes.
right? For NIL money. I thought we all assumed you could also give money on top of
No.
that, whether it's boosters, collectives.
No, the money on top of it
cannot.
has to be tied to actual marketing. So there'll be an outside committee that'll say, if you give an offensive lineman a $2 million deal, you'll have to prove that he's providing $2 million worth of marketing value.
Yes.
That's what I understand.
And it's all supposed to be in-house.
It's it all moved in-house for most of the conferences. I don't think all the conferences all the way through have moved it in-house.
That I don't know about. But and the way Yahoo says it is that those deals are supposed to be inside the $20 million cap. Like you're supposed to spend $20 million, not 75. But the state individual rules would allow you to spend 75 because they basically allow third-party NIL that's coming from outside these NCAA, avenues.
Also,
speaking of things that aren't fun,
Eddie, the legal challenge is going to be so easy to break about house. That has no chance of lasting.
Well, and then also too, there's different people quoted in the story whether or not this idea is even valid, that you could have schools sign up to say, I'm going to ignore state laws. I don't know if that people are saying I don't even know if that's allowed.
And then Tennessee doesn't get to play Alabama if they don't sign on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I doubt that's going to happen. I mean, this is going to get challenged. I think the weirdest part about all the possible things that are getting floated is that there's going to be somebody, I don't know who it is, who's going to determine whether or not that offensive lineman getting $1 million or whatever.
Deloitte is running this.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether that's like fair market value. It's like, I'm sorry, what? The fair market value is whatever someone wants to pay you.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
No, I think that they're trying to say the rule because now the linemen are getting huge money, like millions,
for doing nothing. It is like pseudo salary, and that's the other part of the problem is they actually want to see that you're doing something. And they
you get a billboard in Tuscaloosa, boom, it's done. I don't see how you can come in and say you're not worth this when you have no collective bargaining agreement. The players haven't agreed to anything.
Oh yeah,
like this doesn't hold up.
Right, which is part of this huge argument. But that's the idea is that this clearinghouse, and they, I guess last week or 2 weeks ago, they audited some deals, and they said
they wouldn't hold up.
70% of the third-party ones would not have cleared by us. The ones that are coming from the school make sense, and a lot of them are, as we thought, were for far less than we were being told.
Yeah, no, the reporting on this is worse than NFL contracts.
Yes.
It's fugazi. But here's the thing. Who in what world, this story boils down to this one point. There is not a world right now in college sports where you can take any rights away from student athletes. Doesn't
They're
exist.
trying hard. They're trying hard.
I know. And Nick Saban and President Trump and they can do a million committees.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Or you can ignore the courts, which I guess is kind of in vogue right now.
I feel like they're going to try and peel money back a little bit. I think they're going to.
But the Supreme Court said you can't do it.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh calls himself Coach K.
These, I know you're right. The tide has been to pay the athletes, but it sure seems like a lot of big people are organized to fight back. And you weren't kidding about it. It really is Deloitte.
Yeah.
The same people who do like our taxes are looking at all these deals.
And they're calling it NIL Go like it's a streaming service. Like I can download Game of Thrones on it too.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about colleges, and I'll get a little political here, there's one thing that is inevitable and unstoppable. It is they will grow administrators. There's no growth industry on planet Earth like college administrators. My father-in-law is a professor. He's like, it's kind of like 18 to 1 at Harvard, 18 administrators for every professor. And that's That's the name of the game. So college sports is the same way. We've seen all the HBO, like those old guys who run the Peach Bowl. They will find their way to get their
beaks wet.
Yeah, their beaks wet. Thank you. This is college football, Maggie.
I don't know. I get that, and college football has gone one way for 100 years, and then 2020 happened, and there was a pandemic, and it exposed the entire system even more than it already had been exposed, and they have not had a W since.
No, both sides of the aisle can't stand the NCAA. It's an easy win to dunk on the NCAA. But, maybe it's a seesaw effect. Maybe people think it's gone too far. I don't know.
As you say, look at one Dr. Pepper ad on a Saturday and tell us that the student athletes aren't making enough money.
Well, that's what I was saying to you. Everyone's like, oh, my God, can you believe Texas? Was it Texas had a payroll, or Ohio State, or somebody had 35 to 40 million? That's how much Justin Jefferson gets for one season. So why is that such a big deal? Texas has got 9 primetime games. They should have a $35 million payroll for a season.
Good luck trying to get money back from these guys. That cat's out of the bag. Or doing it, you can close transfer portal windows and stuff like that, but you're also not getting, I don't think you're getting them to sign long-term deals unless you give them some kind of union and collective bargaining agreement. Free agency is here to stay until things get radically overturned, and look where we are.
I have read, though, a lot of teams are emptying the collective is the new expression now. You have all this money, so you got to spend it all right now before the new law comes in.
Oh, that sounds great.
So they spend a ton on guards and tackles, and look at some of the salaries. It's good for the players.
This is like that year when the NBA salary cap spiked.
Yes, it's exactly like that.
And who was the guy?
Kevin Durant.
Well, Durant actually deserved it, but there were guys who were getting paid.
Timofey Mozgov got like a $100 million deal. Alan Crabb got $115 million.
70. Oh, he's the face
Evan
of overpay.
Turner, did he get a big one?
Brooklyn Nets legend.
Oh, Evan Turner.
Turner got a big one.
Yeah.
Noah,
did Nick
finagled the Knicks.
Batum somehow get like $100 million?
Oh, Nick Batum is like Shaq compared to the rest of those guys.
Still playing.
Yeah.
The Mozgov one was the one for me. Mozgov and Lil Dang both signing with the Lakers was just
dang, that was the other huge one. At least he was an all-star.
Those were diabolical. Yeah, he was fried though. He had nothing left.
Playing for Tibbs.
Well, on a lighter note,
we're still playing.
Might be time for the Mets. They lost again last night, 3-1 at Fenway. That's 4 losses in 5 games. More shoddy defense. They went 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And then there's Juan Soto, who didn't leave the box all that quickly on a drive to left field. He only got a single after the ball hit the green monster. Post-game, manager Carlos Mendoza on Soto's perceived lack of hustle.
He thought he had it, but with the win and all that. And in this ballpark, or, anywhere, but in particular in this one, with that wall right there, you got to get out of the box. So, we'll discuss that.
Oh, they'll discuss that, except Soto doesn't think there's anything to discuss.
I think been hustling very hard. If you see it today, you could tell.
I guess in his tiny defense, that wasn't Soto responding to what his manager said. He was just simply asked if he thinks he needs to hustle more. So good
here's the
times.
Thing. So there was a report came out that Juan Soto doesn't look happy. Okay.
I second that.
What's that?
I second that.
Well, whatever, Yankee fan. He shouldn't look happy. He's hitting 246. I know batting average doesn't matter, but he shouldn't be happy. Now, the team is doing well, so that's great. You can be happy for your teammates, but does people expect him to be skipping around when he's not carrying his weight?
That's a good point.
Yeah, what do you want him out there just being like, hey...
What
do they want his demeanor to be like?
He looked pretty happy around the Yankees during BP on Sunday.
That's the thing. When he's talking to everybody, and he talks to everybody. He talks to every catcher. He talks to everybody. If he's on base, he talks to the guy that's on base. So when he does that, then it's like, stop being nice to the opponent. And then when he's not doing that, it's like, stop pouting. So there is no winning on the body language front. And I'm exhausted of it, and it's not even June 1st yet.
Don't worry. June 1st is when he'll start hitting, and this will all be...
Yeah, this is going to go away.
Just dust in the air.
That's my silver lining. He did drill a ball to left center field last night. That would have been at least a double everywhere else, if not a home run. So I'll take that over whether or not he left the box fast enough.
Also, Juan Soto hustling, I don't care about that. He don't need a hustle. He hit 40 home runs, hit 300. Well, we'll be fine.
This is one of the most overblown things of this hustle argument. I got no time for it.
Yeah. Reggie Jackson didn't hustle, and he was pretty good.
And Brandon Nimmo hustles, and he's got an on base of 250, so leave me alone.
He was hustling to a ball to the left field line, and it looked like he was 50 years old. I'm like, how did you not get to that ball?
Brandon Nimmo just catching strays on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah,
I got to be honest. When I've seen some of this Juan Soto stuff, I immediately go to the history of the Mets, who to me are the most famous overpayers.
Can we cut his mic off, please? Let's go to break. What's next?
I have control.
No, not even to be controversial. I'm like, is he going to be Bobby Bonilla and move on?
Wait, you let him say Bobby Bonilla on the air. Why would you do that?
Because I'm a Yankee fan and I have
Come
control
on,
of it.
somebody go to break.
No,
now you guys want to go to break.
No, I just think it's funny. Like I'm like, oh my god,
Isn't it late earlier or something?
Yeah, I wanted Juan Soto bad in Philly, but now that he's a Met, I'm like, oh no, is he going to be the next Mets drastic failure? Of course, you're right. It's too early.
You got 15 years to figure it out.
Yeah. We're 1.5 months in.
Yeah. I mean, still paying all three of those people. Mo Vaughn, Bobby Bonilla, and Juan Soto.
Huh, look at that.
Actually, they're not paying Mo
I don't think
Vaughn
they're paying Mo Vaughn anymore. I think they're finally out from under the Mo Vaughn contract, but who knows? Honestly, who cares? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. This whole thing is a setup so that you can be pumping quarters into a Mets-themed
casino.
Whatever.
Yes.
Slot machine.
That's definitely coming.
Never lose sight of the real deal. Okay, coming up, let's get into Notre Dame USC. What's the latest on this historic rivalry? Why could it be going away? We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Legend, one of one, el 22. Con todos los números que ha puesto, acabó con todo. El Bronx, Yankee, que viva New York, el Bronx.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. One of college football's oldest rivalries, Pearl, in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And you can thank the college football playoff and the new playoff structure for it. So according to a new report from Sports Illustrated, USC very wary of signing on long-term and continuing a commitment to play Notre Dame every year. A rivalry goes back 100 years. They've been playing, the only times they haven't played was World War II and COVID year. And it's the Trojans who are the ones who are dragging their feet. According to Notre Dame athletic director, they want to continue this to go into infinity. And USC wants to wait and see how the playoff structure is going to change because obviously they're in the Big Ten now, which is making things even harder to get to the college football playoff because their schedule is insane.
Yeah, can I do a super soft take on this?
Sure.
Yeah, I get it if I'm USC. Like, I have enough tough Midwestern games. You want to add another one to the schedule? Give me Oregon State, Washington State. Keep me out on the coast. I do not want an extra game against Notre Dame. I get it. I know that's the softest thing ever.
It is.
But there are seasons where they're going to play either Michigan or Ohio State, and now Indiana is going to be good, and that's enough. Like, going to the Big Ten was punishment enough. Why do you have to? I get it. Pull Notre Dame out of that schedule. Because scheduling is everything in college football.
Right.
Like, you have an easy schedule, you get rewarded.
I get that. And this is why people at the time were critical of this college football playoff because it becomes all about the postseason in a sport that wasn't always about the postseason. College football was about the regular season, and then you play a bowl game at the end. But once you put in this postseason tournament, now it's like none of that even matters, and especially rivalries get pushed to the side. And this is a bummer. Now, if I am USC,
pretend you're the AD of USC. I want to hear your strategy.
I get it, but you're also going to benefit from this playoffs expanding and probably expanding and expanding. And who do you think is going to be the beneficiary of that? I'll give you a news flash. It's not Boise State and Tulane.
Well, yes, it is.
It's going to be.
I saw Alabama sitting home last year and Boise State in the tournament. So how can you argue that it's not?
Because that was 1.0 version. When we get to 2.0 and 3.0 and this thing keeps expanding, it's not going to expand for the group of fives. It's going to expand for the power fours, and they're going to get more at-large bids. So it's going to be more forgiving, in my opinion, for teams that are in the Big Ten and in the SEC and ACC and Big 12. I think really the Big Ten and the SEC, let's keep it a buck. It's going to be more beneficial, and there's going to be more safety nets for them. If you have a 3-loss Alabama or a 3-loss USC, you're more likely to get an at-large bid than a 1-loss anyone else.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but that's purely a figment of your imagination right now because we saw the exact opposite happen this year. And you say expand.
But it's already expanding.
They go, to 16? So who cares? That's 4 more teams. It's not like it's going to 64.
Well, yeah, you still have to be good to make it into the postseason
But
tournament.
I think the much more important is to get an easy schedule. That's way. I mean, if Notre Dame can keep feasting on the ACC, then yeah, they're gonna, and the Naval Academy and the Army. I think that's a big flaw in the sport is imbalanced scheduling. And
yeah,
I know they're talking about it, but I don't think they're going to change it. So why would USC be like, well, I know this is going to be a lot of fun for the fans, but it's going to hurt us. Because there's so much pressure on everyone there to get to the playoff. I totally get it. And I understand, who is manipulative? Who is more manipulative of the system than Nick Saban? Like, you got to manipulate the system. So unless they fix this imbalanced scheduling, which they have no interest in really doing, do you think they're going to do this? I don't think they will. So, look at the bottom of the Big Ten last year. If look at Indiana. Their schedule was ridiculously bad.
Sure.
And the committee didn't care. They're like, you're great. We're going to make you the 8 seed.
And why would USC be able to enjoy a similar kind of, it will go in their favor at some point, just like it did for Indiana's. And you get to keep your rivalry game.
Yeah, SC didn't play Ohio State last year. Or Oregon, I think.
Well, listen, SC has a lot of problems going on right now. It doesn't feel like Lincoln Riley's quite figured it out.
Well, and, he's got Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams, and they weren't able to, make a run with him. So maybe he deserves to be on the hot seat. I don't know. He never fixed the defense in time. Maybe he's just deserves to be on the hot seat.
But to play devil's advocate on that, who's done better at USC since Pete Carroll?
Fair.
I think there might be some program problems. Maybe they're not spending money the right way. It does seem like they don't really know and they've had such a mess at AD, right? Like, guys have been in trouble and out of trouble. So I think USC's got bigger problems they got to straighten out. But will you agree with me that I don't think we're there yet? I'd be surprised. Next year, we're going to be sitting there in December. If you have 3 losses and you're a big conference team, I still think they're going to go with the smaller school. I think they'll go with the SMU.
I think they saw the blowouts. And I'm not saying that USC could have avoided that or whatever. I think they saw the blowouts, and while it's a small sample size and not, even Tennessee was in the SEC, they got blown out. But I think they saw some of the blowouts and thought,
maybe we bring in back South Carolina and Alabama. Should have made it last year.
And Oregon got blown out. So it can happen to the big power schools too. But I think they saw, teams not be that competitive outside of Arizona State, really.
Well, yeah. But NIL has made more parity, so it could be different in that sense too.
888-710-4ISN.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Are NBA dynasties dead forever? Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Pearl, I know you're fired up about this. We're in the Final Four for the NBA. Western Conference Finals kicks off tonight. It's Minnesota, it's OKC, and then we'll get the Knicks and the Pacers tomorrow. So we are guaranteed to get a new champion because the Celtics got bounced. So it'll be the 7th year in a row we're getting a new champion. And you think this is bad for the NBA?
Yes. I miss the dynasties. I have to admit it. I love parity in the NFL, but for some reason, I feel a little bit, since I don't have a team in the Final Four, I feel a little bit less of a charge for the finals than I would if you got to see the same teams over and over again. Like I'm thinking of Golden State versus Cleveland. I really want some teams to get back there and keep getting back there. It's been crazy how badly the champions have basically been going out in the first or second round every year. So I don't think you're getting to build at that highest level, the championship level, getting to build a history. And I think the NBA needs that kind of, because I'm thinking of the glory days of Michael Jordan. I'm thinking of definitely Steph versus LeBron.
Sure.
Even Shaq, Kobe.
Yeah.
Like you need you need some continuity. I don't think, and it just seems like to me, and we might disagree, it feels like you're going to have a different champion every year ad infinitum forever.
Yeah, but you always rail against the Spurs, who are a dynasty. You call them boring. You said
they were a bit boring, yes.
Okay, well, that was a dynasty, and it would have fit the definition.
They didn't usually do it back-to-back years, though.
They were a factor. They were deep into the playoffs every year, and they were winning championships. Whether you want to,
did they ever go back to back?
But whether you want to split hairs about whether it's a dynasty or if it's 3 and 5, what would have been every other, it doesn't matter to me, right? Like here's the situation. Just because we don't have literally the Celtics trying to defend their title doesn't mean we don't have the same faces over and over again that aren't bringing, interesting matchups to the league. The second year in a row, we're going to get Knicks Pacers in a high-profile series. So
this is the most unlikely conference finals in the hit. I mean, nobody saw Knicks Pacers coming. This is like, you can't say like, oh, we got continuity. This is a shocking conference finals. Everyone thought it was going to be Celtics Cavs.
Okay, that's fine, but you did have the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They played the Knicks last year.
Right, in the second round, right, but they're not, they certainly have, we've never seen them at the finals. Like, they haven't been in the mix for a championship in forever.
Minnesota is back right where they were a year ago, back in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I mean, shocking. But they weren't good this year. They'd be the lowest seed to win a title ever.
Okay, so here's what I think is going on and why you're getting this and why you're getting 1 seeds that are getting bounced early on.
Yeah.
It's something that people complain about all the time with the NBA. They don't take the regular season seriously. By the way, you still have OKC, who's the number 1 seed, by the way, who is about to play in the Western Conference Finals tonight. So let's not say all number 1 seeds completely crap the bed. They didn't. But you have degrees of caring during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And the regular season, it turns out, doesn't actually mean anything. The Knicks couldn't beat anybody in the regular season as far as the Celtics and things like that. And then it turns out they took them out. And they built that 2-0 lead before Jason Tatum got hurt. So it's just like you can't tell anymore, I don't think. You can't tell as much from the regular season of how things are going to go in the postseason. And so that creates maybe a more interesting postseason. But to me, this isn't a bad thing. Yeah,
but you like the parity.
I think rivalries are what matter, not so much dynasties. Like, people are going to be tuned into this Knicks-Pacers series, even if you're not a Knicks or Pacer fan, because there's a history, first of all, but now we have back-to-back Tyrese Halliburton versus Jalen Brunson. Like, that is good. That people like that.
Right, but I think the finals are even more important than the conference finals. I think you need to have, for the casual fan, you need to see the same faces again and again. You want to see a defending champion. I mean, this year it could be, I think it's exciting to have a new team. Say it's a Knicks Thunder, but if you had the Celtics defending their title against the Thunder, I feel like that just raises the level of intensity up on this. So, and I don't think it's this load management. I think it's the way they set up the new apron system. It makes it, you can't have a super team. We all hated super teams, but now we miss super teams because of all the different rules. You can't bring all the stars together. Yep. So you're getting a lot of parity, which makes sense.
I think it backfired on the NBA, to be honest.
That's why I think you're missing like the great teams. That's what I'm kind of getting at. You might want to loosen up those so you can get a Miami Heat again.
Well, right, like the idea that, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown may not be able to stay together.
Right.
Because they're both getting paid so much. Now, listen, that is also at the discretion of the owner. You can pay. It's just you're going to have a lot more parameters and kind of handcuffs around you. But no one's saying you can't do it.
The other thing, too, people look at OKC, 68-14, all-time biggest margin of victory for any NBA team. You would think, okay, well, that's a potential dynasty. But look at the West. There are so many up-and-comers, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I think OKC could be great, and then they could be knocked out in the second round next year because there's going to be so many great teams, which you would think would be good. But as a fan, I kind of miss the regularity of Jordan, and maybe that's my fault.
As I say, Jordan hasn't played in a final since 1998, so you've really been pining for this for quite a while.
Well, I loved the Warriors-Cavs thing. I just felt like when the Warriors were in the finals with those great teams, like you had to watch it. You couldn't miss it. I think a lot of casual fans might not be as invested in the new teams every year.
Listen, it's going to be a natural thing when LeBron and Steph retire.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a void. Well, that's the question. Would you rather, if you look at the NBA, would you rather have it continue like this, where there's a new champion every year? Or I'll give you a hypothetical. What if Wemby became the dominant player in the league and the Spurs went to 4 straight finals? Would that be amazing?
Yeah, sure. I think you can have it both ways, quite frankly. Because
you can't.
Well, I just think that there are still good rivalries, even if there may be a new champion every year. Because I feel like I'm seeing the same faces over and over again. I'm seeing the same teams make the playoffs over and over again.
You are going to there are 4 teams in the Final Four right now. There are 2 titles between all 4 teams. The Knicks in the 70s.
Yeah.
This is as new as you get.
Okay, but this could also be I'm not willing to say this is not a bit of an outlier of this particular, like, because now you're going to have these teams that are come back again and back again. So they're going to.
Why? Who? I think
Minnesota keeps coming back. OKC makes the playoffs every year. The Knicks keep making the playoffs, and the Pacers keep making the playoffs. All these teams are here.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are going to last. I think you're going to have a whole new Final Four next year and a whole new Final Four the year after that, especially in the West.
But you didn't have a new Final Four this year from last year. You have Minnesota and Indiana are both back.
Okay. But I do think,
right.
But you admit, 7 champions in 7 years. And
well, I think the question I have for you, Pearl, is it champions or is it people in the finals? Because I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag, right? Because Jordan played almost a different person every year, right? Until the end when he faced the Jazz. And then
you had Jordan though.
Right.
You had the Bulls.
But that was the champion. So you want like a team to win every year.
Yeah, I want a dynasty.
Right. But that's a little different, I think, than like maybe railing on the Final Four because
it's just the point. Like if you have a new Final Four, you're going to have a new champion every year. I just think we need one dominant team at least.
Okay, but here's the other thing. There's not a dominant player right now. So you want Michael Jordan, who was far and away the best player in the league at the time. We don't have that guy right now.
Can you give me a Shaq Kobe?
Who is it?
I don't know.
Giannis? Then you should be praying that Giannis goes to San Antonio because that would create that type of potential that you're thinking about.
If I'm and I know the owners wouldn't go for this. If I'm in the league office, I might say, hey, maybe we relax these rules a little bit to allow for more super teams. It's hard. Now everybody's got sort of a half a super team where you get 2 stars. Yeah, I'm not saying I have a solution. I don't know. I just think it'd be good if there was a super dynasty. I do think the league is structurally set up for this, though. Like they did set up the salary cap so you would alternate champions all the time. And I don't think, by the way,
don't you think they see the same data that you're looking at, which is, having a dynasty or having one dominant team that everyone's kind of going after and trying to claw and bring down would actually help. So if they're seeing more data than we're seeing, right, that why would they want to intentionally harm their league?
Well, because they're 30 owners, and I think they all have different priorities. And I think, if you're the owner of the Cavs, for example, you're not going to be like, well, let's build a super team down in Miami. They're not going to be for that. So not everybody's looking out.
Hit home, but I think
everybody's looking for their individual success. They're not thinking about the overall league. I think that's a natural way owners get together.
Yeah, I think they're also trying to figure out what life's going to be like after LeBron. I'm not saying that's why they put the aprons and stuff in, but they do have to figure out as a league maybe who they want to push to the front because even if Wemby is like this alien basketball player, I feel like I'm not, he got injured obviously, so that hurt. I see him on a lot of national games, I guess. It doesn't feel like he's got the machine behind him as much as he did before his draft.
He's a little young.
Like where are they showcasing? Was he available for the All-Star game? No, he was hurt, right?
Yeah, they played. He was on Christmas in Madison Square Garden. Had 40.
I know the only problem with Christmas though is the NFL came in and ate its lunch.
Well, I'm saying Wemby is a hypothetical. I feel like Wemby's the best shot. Maybe Anthony Edwards. I know. So you're saying it's really we need a big superstar to fill the LeBron void. I'm saying that we need a great team to up the ante for the finals. Like the 7 champions in 7 years is not working for me. And it's not. Maybe it's just the way it happens. Maybe it's nobody's fault. I don't know if the NBA designed it this way. The NBA, you really think? Again, we argue about how much actual influence the NBA has on the action. You think that this is all sort of manufactured by them with the lottery, et cetera.
Could have given Cooper Flag to the Utah Jazz, and they didn't. Speaking of which, do we have that Shaq sound?
We do.
Yeah. We can get to that in a minute. But anyway, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476.
Roll it again, Chuck.
Do you think that the NBA has been hurt because they have a new champion, 7 new champions in 7 years? It's also just been the time for a lot of guys, right? Like Jokic winning MVPs, it was his time. He won a title. Giannis winning MVPs, his time winning a title. Celtics, who have been making the conference finals since 2016, 2017 season, and made the finals in the 2021-22 season. Yeah. They finally broke through. It kind of feels like the era of people just realizing their destiny.
But it's also, I'll take a more negative view. It's also it's such a who's going to stay healthy league. I heard it called the warranty league the other day. like, how's your warranty doing on your players? Like, Celtics got hurt. The Nuggets got hurt. Like, because
this load management turns out may not be doing a whole hell of a lot.
Last year, the Knicks, by the way, the only reason the Pacers were in the conference finals last year is because the Knicks got hurt. So it does feel like, for some reason, injuries seem to be playing more of a part. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I blame the Knicks.
Steph Curry got hurt.
Steph Curry got hurt this year, and I blame the Knicks because they only go 6 deep. But would you stop doing that, Manny?
I just did the last one.
I think it's also the injuries are playing a huge role. Why did Boston go away? Some people, I think the Knicks might have beaten them anyway, but other people are saying, everybody was hurt to some extent.
Let's get to the Shaq thing, because I love a draft conspiracy.
Yeah,
you thought it was over when Cooper Flagg went to the Mavericks with a 1.8% chance?
I didn't even know he could talk.
Shaq telling a story on the Ashley Neville podcast of meeting then Commissioner David Stern ahead of the draft lottery the year he came out of LSU.
I meet Mr. Stern in March, and he says to me, "Hey, know you are. Can't wait for you to come to the NBA." Then he pulls me to the side. "You want to play where it's cold or where it's hot?" He asked me that. Yeah, he did. He asked me that, and I was like, "Hot." And he smiled, and I smiled.
Okay. The music is not helping this, by the way. The sinister music. Shaq reveals he was stunned to see the Magic at the number 1 pick.
A couple of days later, they had the draft thing and, the top 3 things. And then Minnesota was number 3. I was like, and then Charlotte was number 2. And then Orlando, Florida was number 1. I was like, I didn't think anything about it. But, you hear a lot of these conspiracy theories.
I'm sorry. I can't get past the music now. It feels like this is the same music that they use when they're like, so why did the husband take out $1 million life insurance policy 2 days before his wife disappeared?
Yeah. Dateline.
Yeah, exactly.
That's weird, though, because Shaq is from, I know he moved around San Antonio, went to college at LSU. I would have thought he'd be all about the cold weather city. Of course he wants to go to a warm weather city. You think David Stern was actually sussing out where he wanted to go? What, Shaq's going to say, I want to go to Minnesota?
I think David Stern must have been joking about this, but finally
he was saying lightheartedly.
Shaq saying the Mavericks getting the number 1 pick fuels these types of conspiracy theories.
There's a lot of situations that could make these things sound good and sound true. Like, okay, Dallas gets rid of one of the best players, but we're getting a new one. Ding, 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 ding. So I don't want to use the word conspiracy theory, but it's very interesting how it all played out.
And what happened to Mary?
Sorry about that, America.
Never seen again.
This feels like the fakest story I've ever heard.
Hello, police.
I don't even think this
Chris
happened.
Paul trying to beat me up.
First of all, David Stern is way too savvy. David Stern is a real G.
Definitely.
He moves in silence, You think, like, someone who comes up with the idea for a frozen envelope, you think he's out here just asking Shaq, where do you want to go? He wouldn't be that sloppy.
David Stern's he's also not putting the future of the NBA in a 20-year-old's hands. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Who cares where Shaq wants to go? David Stern would send him where he'd want him to go.
Exactly. You don't tell David Stern. David Stern tells you. That's how.
Play him if you want to.
That's how crazy.
So I love it. You guys are so convinced that there's always a conspiracy on the lottery. But this one, now that Shaq's on board, you guys are out?
No, it's actually just more of a deference to David Stern.
Come on, man.
I just think that he's the ultimate draft lottery rigger.
I call myself open-minded, by the way. I'm not going to say I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Just asking questions.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
David Stern, may he rest in peace, by the way. I just think that he was, how do I put this, would stop at nothing to make sure that the league grew in a way that he saw fit.
Well.
And sometimes that means one thing and it means another time. And I think it's whatever the league needed at any time, whether it's, having to get involved with trades, whether it's rigging draft lotteries, whether it's expanding the league to China, whatever it was.
Yeah. Having the players run out in the crowd in Indiana and fight the fans. Because he had total control. Like, he was
you saw the iron fist he came down with after that happened?
Yeah. No one controls Ron Artest.
Anyway.
Dress code and
you guys
a bunch of
you think he's
suspensions.
Thanos? David Stern.
Kind
He's just a man, guys.
Powerful one. I wouldn't cross him.
They said Drago was just a man, and then Apollo Creed, sadly.
EJ, you were gone. We still had not during the show, after the show, more aftermath of the argument about whether the Dallas Mavericks getting the number 1 pick was fixed. I brought up an interesting point that actually I heard from Nick Wright. How about the Mavs almost won that play-in game? They might have not even had a lottery pick. So explain, like, this was all set up months in advance, but Dallas almost snuck in the playoffs and screwed up the entire thing. Is that what happened?
Let's go back to the free throw discrepancy in that game. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Well, also, Anthony Davis, they tried to keep Anthony Davis out, and he kept insisting to play. So that was a league initiative. They wanted to tank. He insisted on playing.
Mm-hmm. Perloff turns into like Marge Simpson. He's like, 888-710-4ISN. Yes, you want to make another point?
I just think the simplest explanation is the ping pong balls go up in the air and a guy pulls one and it's just turned out to be Dallas.
To quote you. All right, coming up next, we do have to get into the first comments of Bill Belichick really clarifying what the hell is going on at North Carolina. And a funny story as well. We'll get to that next, M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. So Bill Belichick, everyone was saying, has lost it over the last month. Turns out he's a genius. Art of Winning debuts at number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list. All press is good press. I actually don't want to read this book. I find him to be a total grump, and I'm sure his book reads as dry as dust. But
whoa!
But anyway,
you're not going to be writing a blurb
I do think
for that one.
You could view this this whole mess as a great PR stunt.
Yeah, we were just talking last segment about how we thought David Stern really was like this puppeteer master of the NBA. I don't think Belichick's that savvy. I think he's probably a little more savvy than people give him credit for, but not this much.
But it does work out pretty good. I think he's come into this whole book project very, very torn because he wants to publicize it. He's doing a lot of interviews, but he wants to look good, and he's very uncomfortable publicizing it. I think, who knows? There's obviously, as we're going to get to, there's so much to unpack with Bill Belichick right now.
Yeah, unpack. So he's on the Pivot podcast, and this is really the first time that he's kind of been pressed, I would say, about what Jordan Hudson does for North Carolina. We've had a lot of reporting, Pablo Torre and others about her role, but Ryan Clark really asked the question. So first, it's Belichick explaining Hudson's role, his 24-year-old girlfriend, obviously, in his professional life.
Her actual job responsibilities.
Well, nothing with North Carolina. That would be number one. It would be personal opportunities. Could be a speaking thing. It could be a, appearance on this or talk about that, or somebody wants whatever it happens to be, an autographs or that type of thing. And so, she would kind of help organize that for me.
Okay, so that's like a glorified secretary or something like that.
Or like a marketing rep who usually take 10 to 15%. He's getting a good bargain there.
Who knows? Maybe she's on the payroll.
Oh, actually, you're right. She might be.
She's the COO of Belichick Productions, whatever that means. So.
That job sounded very much like a marketing representative, right? That's exactly what they do.
She's been talking about that. But the thing is about these requests that were coming in for him, some of them were internal. Like when he got hired at North Carolina, people wanted him for speaking engagements in North Carolina. So that's why Bill Belichick said that he asked that she be copied on emails.
And one of the first things that came out was when North Carolina sent me emails saying, like, these people want to talk to you, these people want to talk to you, these people want to talk to you, these people want to talk to you. I sent back an email, can you please copy Jordan on these requests? Right? So that, she could at least, filter through them because there was nobody. We didn't have a sports information guy.
Right. So sports information director, an SID, shorthand PR people who work for colleges. Like when Perloff and I, when we want to request somebody, we go through the SID when it comes to college. So he's saying that North Carolina has no football SID. When I tell you how far that stretches beyond believability. So I actually reached out to North Carolina yesterday. I'm still waiting to hear back because there is someone on their website who is responsible for football.
For communications with the football team, right?
But wait,
Yes.
but isn't there an overall SID?
No, they get split up into
Yeah,
yes,
they
there
can-
can be.
they can be, but they get split up a lot now.
But they can be split up between sports. So go on North Carolina's website. There's basketball, there's football, and then there's every other sport. If women's lacrosse has an SID, then I imagine the football team has someone who's fielding requests. So that one was kind of weird. I reached out to North Carolina and haven't heard back yet. Now, that could have been true. Maybe they've hired somebody since. I have no idea. Their website says it's the same guy who does basketball does football as well. So here's more from Belichick. Said the narrative that Jordan Hudson is running football PR for UNC is false.
That was taken because all the emails are shared in publicly. That was taken as Jordan's running the sports information department.
Yes.
And
Gotcha.
that also led to the narrative, which is like totally, she's not doing it. I mean, there was nobody that helped me sort them out. So I was asking her to do it.
So this is the extended comments. I think we really split hairs here if you want to say she's not involved in UNC. I think that they're trying to be exact, what do you say, technical about it. But if she's working for him this closely, she's filtering requests that are coming from inside the university and outside the university. She's working alongside the university with this much synergy, if you will. Yeah, she's not an employee, but she's basically right there helping him make decisions, and he's the highest paid employee at the school.
Yeah, I mean, I could buy the role. It's like an agent, though. Would you, if Bill Belichick said, CC, my agent, maybe in college that wouldn't be, I mean, I could see it at least. I could, but that's actually a really good explanation by Bill Belichick. I'm kind of blown away.
So this is the first time he's ever really fleshed it out.
And by the way, I have no reason, and you have not gotten confirmation back from school. I have no reason to believe he's lying about the SID situation in North Carolina. Now it kind of all makes sense.
To me, it's weird that North Carolina football wouldn't have an SID.
Maybe
You're telling me Mac Brown never got a request to go to a speaking engagement somewhere?
Maybe
no one ever wanted him on a show?
Maybe they push everyone out with the last regime. Because they have all new people, right?
No, I emailed the same person who said says football falls under their purview. Same guy as basketball. He's been there for 40 years.
So he's the overall SID.
Yeah, but usually they get the highest profile sports.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't think Belichick's lying. He wouldn't just make that up.
It's just a weird thing to say. All right, let's get to the milk story. Oh, his Hard Knocks thing didn't make sense either, but we'll save that to the side. Let's get to the milk story.
He needs some milk.
So here's Belichick telling a funny story about his time with the Patriots when Antonio Brown, Pearl, came to the Pats.
Yep.
Remember those glorious 11 days?
Is that all it was?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Guy wears out his welcome pretty fast. What can we say? So Tom Brady really took Antonio Brown under his wing, had him living in his home. And so Antonio Brown wanted to do something nice for Tom Brady, and this is what he did.
Antonio ordered milk. He ordered the special milk for Brady. It cost $5,000. $5,000. And to make a long story short, it kind of got mixed up, and it ended up in the mail room for too long. And by the time the milk went bad.
Oh, yucky.
All right, let's put to the side for a second the biggest obvious question here. What type of milk would cost $5,000?
Yeah.
But let's let Belichick finish the story. Then what happened?
And so here we are sitting here with milk, and all right, well, what will cost $5,000? Oh my God. So we go out and get $5,000 worth of milk, this special milk, and give it to Brady from Antonio, even though it all, and so now we turn in an expense report, $5,000 worth of milk. I mean,
yeah, that one might get flagged. Here's more from Bill.
But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta do the right thing, and I don't want to ruin the relationship between Brown and Brady on this spoiled milk.
So it's not $5,000 worth of milk. That'd be like a tractor trailer's worth of milk. That's not what Antonio Brown ordered for Tom, Pearl. It's a specific type of milk that is $5,000 that Brady likes to drink.
Like one carton equals $5,000?
$5,000 worth of that milk.
Right. $5,000 worth of that milk.
Rich people suck.
So can I tell you with a little internet research where this milk may have come from? But does
Almond
anyone
milk.
want any guesses?
Almond milk.
Like I'm guessing like an emu or some kind of
Like
weird animal.
Switzerland?
Wait, are we going animal or are we going
You
country?
go cow. It's funny. I went animal. You went country.
A lot of cows in Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly. I was there.
A lot of cheese.
Yeah, but I feel like you could get a deal. I mean, I don't know with tariffs how much this milk is costing, but this is pre-tariffs.
It's pre-tariffs. Okay, so it looks like the most expensive milk in the world comes from a donkey. Donkey milk is the costliest on earth, according to Yahoo. Prices can vary, but to give an idea, one company sells in the U.S., they charge $170 for 40 grams. So that's 14 ounces. Powdered donkey milk is $8,000 for 20 kilos, just over 44 pounds. That's a lot. But anyway, 3 ounces will cost you $60. The high cost is due to the difficulty of acquiring the milk.
Donkey?
So you think Brady was drinking donkey milk?
I think he's drinking donkey milk.
Or it's possible Belichick just screwed up this story in some bizarre way and we have no idea what actually happened.
Very specific.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't even know that Brady was deflating football, so I don't know if he understood. Belichick is probably more focused on what the defensive scheme was, like, what's this thing about milk?
Also, Antonio Brown knowing Brady's diet.
Why does this place stink?
I don't know. Antonio Brown doesn't seem like a guy who's tight with the details.
No, but he was sleeping at he was staying at his home.
Oh, I thought he did this right before he got traded.
No, this was he was staying at Brady's house.
I thought that was after he got traded. I thought he was. Oh. It was such a short time. I assumed this was all like in the lead up to
I
when
think
he
it
got
happened
there or they signed, whatever happened.
No, it happened in those 11 days.
Why did Antonio send it to the facility?
Apparently, it is attractive from a nutritional perspective. It's lower in fat and calories than other milks, has higher vitamin D, and is vitamins, minerals, proteins. It's been labeled a pharma food, shown in studies to have immunity-boosting and inflammation-reducing properties, among other potential benefits.
Pharma milk, there it goes again.
So there's a legit shot that Antonio Brown got there, sent this milk, sent it to the wrong place. Belichick then bought new milk, sent it to Brady, and Brown might have been gone already.
Yeah, then he said that thing about Robert Kraft and the massage parlor, and his butt was gone.
Oof.
Right, weren't there some allegations, too, why they cut him? I thought there was other stuff around why. I don't think it was just a Kraft thing.
There might have been more. I have to go back to it.
Brady may have gotten this milk, and Brown may have already been out of the league. That's a reality. That's likely.
They paid the $5,000.
It's only 11 days. How quickly, like if it got spoiled, it was there for days.
It ended up in the mailroom at the Patriots facility. What a dummy! Why didn't he just send it to Brady's house?
Why don't he just send it to Brady's house? This guy Antonio.
Brady's probably like, where is this milk coming from? I'm so confused.
So how many? I'm so sorry. I forget about all of this. What year was Antonio Brown? In 2019, he was in New England?
I think that's right. Yeah.
And then, I thought he lived with him in Tampa. I did not know he lived with him in New England.
In New England, too.
But he did live with him in Tampa for sure, right? Yeah. So, okay. So Belichick had nothing, obviously, to do with Tampa. I don't remember this. Were they any good together in New England?
For that one game in Miami.
Played one game. He had 5 catches. I think he scored at least 1, maybe 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, it would have worked. Antonio Brown's a good player.
And they
He's
cut
just
him?
Wild card.
Yeah, something crazy happened during that week. I know he's talking about the crafting, but I think there was like a sexual assault allegation, I believe. And they just like, we can't do this, and they got rid of him in a week.
Yeah. Meanwhile, apparently they've been drinking donkey milk for 100 years.
Oh, I'm sure they have. Yeah.
Accused of sexual misconduct by a former trainer. That was Antonio Brown, but yeah, they've been drinking donkey milk for 100 years.
Where have they been?
You can get it on Amazon right now if you want.
Earth.
$85 for this canister of donkey milk.
There's, by the way, other things going on with donkeys. That when we were in college, there was a trip. A bunch of my friends went down to Tijuana.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, okay.
When you said donkey milk, I was like, wait, what are we talking about here?
That is still one of the most unbelievable things that this exists.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long tradition. That's a big deal.
A tradition. I just can't imagine who.
Donkey shows? That's a huge thing.
I just can't imagine who in the hell would ever want to watch something like that.
I have no idea.
Ernst Goldfarb, whatever your buddy's name is. What did you say last week?
I don't. That's been a thing forever.
Keith Hernandez wrote about it in his biography. I don't understand it.
I don't know if it's still a thing, but apparently now there's more uses for a donkey.
Jesus. Anyway.
I'm just going to stick to Shrek, by the way.
I know. Anyway, I didn't know that people were drinking donkey milk. Never knew it, but
It's
imagine
funny to
the
me
weird stuff Tom Brady's eating and drinking.
I felt Brady would avoid all lactose, so he'd be more like
he does.
almond milk or some kind of crap like that.
Apparently he does. That's why I was confused by this, too, because I saw Caleb Williams, who we're going to talk to Seth in 20 minutes. He's apparently adopting the Tom Brady diet, I saw.
Nice plug.
And Dove Kleiman, which, we'll see if that's all, accurate. But he listed all the things Tom Brady doesn't eat. And the number one thing was lactose, milk.
Yeah. No, if you
so
ever,
I don't know. Yeah, I was surprised that he even had any kind of milk. I assumed he just cut it all out.
Yeah, if you talk to nutritionists, the first thing they tell you to get rid of is milk. Right.
I thought bread, but yeah, that's probably there.
Yeah, because humans are not meant to, my daughter lectured me, are not meant to drink other animals' milk.
Oh, yeah, it's like a whole, that was you want to talk about conspiracies, the milk in America conspiracies.
I love that you guys this is the first thing you should cut out.
Yeah, I had actually.
How about the booze and the
No.
There are 5 things.
sugar?
There's a
Sugar,
propaganda
booze,
campaign to get milk sold here.
Bogusch, we keep cutting you up there, dude.
Sorry, dude.
With random stuff.
I just think Brady, we talk about the avocado ice cream and not eating like a tomato or a strawberry or something, and we're really just not addressing the donkey in the room.
What's that?
He's drinking the donkey milk. It's so weird.
Still dubious that it's actually donkey milk. I think there's something else out there that's got to be better.
Even more expensive?
Yeah.
This is all I'm seeing.
Maybe there's a rare nut in somewhere
That's what
in
I'm
Asia.
thinking. Yeah, because also, why wouldn't Bill Belichick mention that it's donkey milk?
Why did that sound so
wrong?
wrong?
I would remember that more than it cost $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't care about how much it costs. I said this guy drinks donkey milk, and Antonio Brown found it somehow and sent it to our facility. I'm like, this is gross. We have spoiled donkey milk in our mailroom. Who cares about $5,000?
First of all, you guys are totally falling for this. This is clearly, he's creating this bizarre story to distract us from the fact that Jordan Hudson's calling plays at North Carolina. Bottom line.
You know what? Hook, line, and sinker, man. How could I be so gullible? I totally fell for this. Bogusch, hang with us, will you? Coming up, as EJ said, top of the hour, Seth Wickersham is going to join us. He's got a new book out. It's coming out soon. And he's got all the details from Caleb Williams' father, on how they did try to pull a power play and get Caleb to a different team besides the Chicago Bears. He also has in-depth reporting about Arch Manning's recruitment to Texas. So we got all types of stuff to address with Seth Wickersham. Don't move.
Shut up, EJ.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Robust conversation about the cost of donkey milk. It's going up these days. We believe that Antonio Brown may have bought some for Tom Brady because Bill Belichick told a story about Antonio Brown buying Tom $5,000 milk. Not $5,000 worth of milk, a very expensive milk. And we looked it up, and it turns out donkey milk is the most expensive on planet Earth. So I'm glad we're getting to the bottom of these really important topics.
You have no idea if that's actually what happened, and I'm sure Bill only has half the story. And whatever really happened between Antonio Brown of all people, you think Bill knew?
Well, Brady's in front of a microphone all the time. The next time he does a podcast with some WWE/internet star, just ask about the donkey milk.
Maggie, you got to do some Pablo Torre type of journalistic investigation now.
I mean, I've reached out to North Carolina to see if they actually have a football SID.
Oh, yeah, steps. Baby steps.
We'll see if
they do
back.
Technically. I looked while you were talking about it.
I know. And that's why I said Bill Belichick said on the Pivot podcast, Ryan Clark, I laid out the whole thing.
Bill Belichick only knows certain things and is kind of grasping at straws for that. That's probably why Jordan Hudson's running the show. He's like, what's going on?
But he's saying
here?
She's not running the show.
Yeah.
She had to step in. I'm like, you're making $10 million. North Carolina football program just made the biggest hire in their history, and you don't have an SID. Just, I don't know. Seems a little off.
One of my favorite topics about Jordan Hudson is whether it helps with the recruits or not to have a 24-year-old girlfriend. Somebody, I think Ian told us that, listen, Bill Belichick's getting way older than these players. It might help to have a girlfriend who's their age who can explain what they're talking about. Does he, because obviously a player is not going to be turned off by you having a 24-year-old girlfriend. An 18-year-old guy has no judgment on anything like this. So does he actually use this in the recruiting process? Like kind of subtly, hey, did you see my girlfriend?
Oh my gosh!
I don't know. I mean,
That's
recruiting
creepy.
it's an all-out warfare. I mean, you say
see
whatever you can.
My girlfriend came in
Yeah.
third in the Miss Maine competition.
Well, I think
In this era of NIL.
I think on one hand he shows the parents pictures of his grandkids, and on the other he's like, hey, guy, come over here. Look at this.
Yeah, not a grandkid, but could be.
Man, that's weird.
It is weird.
I mean, it wouldn't work for me. I can't speak to other young people. if that
Sounds
was
like
the case.
EJ's not committing to UNC.
Old guy, like, say, come here, look at my phone. I
don't know.
Hey, come here. Come look
I
at
was
what I have on my
exaggerating,
phone.
but listen,
are
Bobby
making Bill
Petrino's an
Belichick out
amazing
to be-
recruiter. That guy's a dog. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, 'cause
like
he's got a
this-
bunch of bags behind him. He's got a bag man dropping off, $100,000 in front of your house.
I don't think any 18-year-old's ever been like, this coach is morally upstanding. I want to go play there. That is not how it works. I think it's Belichick's best attribute. He should walk into the quarterback's room with Jordan Hudson on his arm.
I thought you were saying the biggest question you have is whether this is good for her Miss Maine candidacy, and obviously we found out that's not good because she's going backwards.
No, that was your obsession, Mag, if you recall.
Bogusch is here with headlines. What do you got?
NFL owners meeting begin today in Minneapolis. The Packers have made slight changes to their proposal to ban the tush push, but that vote, as well as the one on changing how playoff teams are seeded, not expected until tomorrow, and we still don't have a good feel on whether either one of them will pass. All that being said, owners should vote today on allowing players to play flag football in the 2028 LA Olympics. That is expected to pass, maybe easily. Then the league would begin negotiating with the Players Association and the various Olympic groups.
I would hate this if a player on my team goes to play flag football, which has no tradition, history in the Olympics whatsoever. It's not swimming, it's not track and field, it's not gymnastics, not even basketball, which actually does have a long tradition.
You don't think watching Tyreek Hill just run past some 5'8" Japanese accountant is going to be hysterical?
I mean, what are we trying to prove to the world? Like, we got
we're
football. No kidding. But they took baseball and softball out of the Olympics because I don't know, it just didn't stick. And so I don't think this is going to stick. It's dumb. We may not even need Tyreek Hill to win a medal. We could have the people who are actually playing flag football now.
I think the Eagles should, I'm already thinking about it, should send Jahan Dotson. They don't really need him.
Well,
It's not an expansion draft.
Well, I mean,
fine.
the way actually you explain the rule. It's one player per team.
Don't take shots at
If I'm reading this correctly, it would be one player per nation per team.
Wait,
So
sorry,
one,
what?
so you could have multiple players from different countries,
Right, but only one can play for America.
Right.
One can if one player is Canadian, he can play for Canada.
So you only get one. I mean, most players are American. So,
So like
Right.
you could have Jordan Mailata and your Jahan Dotson if you want.
right. But most teams are going to be able to send one player. I mean,
Most
how many
teams.
would?
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, hold on. Let me read this to you
All
again.
right.
A limit of one player per NFL team on each national team participating.
Okay, but how many?
Wait. How do you understand that sentence?
Right, kind of what we were describing before.
And that's how I still read it.
Yeah, so maybe the Eagles could have Mailata on one team and Jahan Dotson on another. But I don't think Mailata's can play flag football. He's
Do
a
they-
tackle.
I was going to say, do you do
Someone's gotta
offensive
snap the
lineman?
ball.
Yeah.
You got to block.
That's true.
1,000, 2,000.
Oh, it's not like 7-on-7 where everyone goes out.
No,
Actually,
there's a pass rush. That's
flag
why
football?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why that guy. Remember we were talking about that
With the
greatest
nickname?
flag football player ever. Yeah, all the clips of him are running around like he's Michael Vick because he's a pass rush.
Ah, okay. I know
He's
nothing about
5'8".
flag football, turns out.
Who in their right mind wants their quarterback playing in this?
Quarterback actually
okay,
probably would be okay, right?
You're like
You don't
steady
you
QB.
don't technically have to do that much running unless you're that crazy guy. But it's more of the receivers to me and the DBs. They will get hurt. Like that's scary to me. Like Gary Wilson did this, I'd lose my mind.
This is what I'm saying. Nobody
Send
wants
Lazard.
this. Send Lazard.
Is he still on the Jets?
It's not
honestly, yes,
Siberia, man. It's the Olympics.
That's gonna be the game. You're gonna send a player who's exciting enough to draw interest, but not important enough. You can't risk losing him.
All right, so we got Alan Lazard, wide receiver 1, Jahan Dotson, wide receiver 2. Who's tight end?
You're interested in that?
Sure. I mean, imagine
It
Alan
is
Lazard
football.
will probably average 500 yards a game playing flag football against Greece.
I think this could be a thing. Like you're gonna pick your one player. That is gonna be fascinating. Who do you want? Throw a Bills player out there.
No.
Why?
I'm trying to win a freaking Super Bowl here. No.
I want to watch Josh Allen sling the ball against some British dude.
If Josh Allen is within 100 miles of this thing, there's going to be a revolt in Buffalo.
You have a bunch of...
He's definitely going to be there. Not as a player, but he's going to be around the events.
He would definitely do it.
It's training camp. No?
Yeah,
are the Olympics not happening in August anymore?
Yeah,
training camp, schmaining camp. Who cares about that?
Oh, you guys got KJ Hamler on the roster.
How many ex-Penn State players are on this team?
Send the actual Penn State
KJ
team.
Hamler he'll get hurt watching flag football on TV.
And then what's going to happen with Jahan?
Elliot, were they on the same team?
Yeah,
so.
yeah, they were.
Yeah. Basically, recreate the 2018 Nittany Lions and send them overseas.
I was playing for you, Maggie. Just re-sign Von Miller and just send him over to the Olympics.
I don't want any part of re-signing Von Miller.
What's Allen Robinson doing nowadays?
That's a great question.
This could be like a good Chase Claypool spot.
God, did I love that guy in the 9th round of a draft pick for Allen Robinson.
I'm sorry. We can only send Penn State people. My bad.
These games, by the way, the end of July, so they would be theoretically pre-training camp, right before training camp.
Is this Olympics?
No, 2028.
Right, the next one.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in too.
Yeah, why not?
No, I still feel bad for people who actually are on the USA flag football team now. We're finally going to get their chance, and instead they're going to get trumped by all of these actual pros.
I mean, you could sticking up for the little guy.
Yeah, there's a pre-existing team that competes all year round, and then you're just like, never mind, guys. Thanks for everything.
You could go with recently retired guys too. By the way, wouldn't that kind of work? They would probably win it.
Yeah, T.O. was like, he was racing Tyreek Hill the other day. He looked good. He lost, but he looked good.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, QB1.
Oh, he'd be amazing.
This is not the Ice Cube basketball league.
It does feel like the 3-on-3 tournament.
I was thinking
Patino Mobley's not available.
Big three.
Oh, the Olympics 3-on-3. We had Jimmer Fredette and a bunch of nobodies.
Who is the NFL's Sharif Abdul-Rahim?
Full question.
By the way, how about USA Basketball recently announcing Jimmer's retirement from international competition? Did you see that?
I did.
No thanks. We're good.
Yeah, well, we didn't even medal in the 3-on-3. Yeah, kick rocks, dude.
I don't think they won a game in the 3-on-3.
Yeah, it was terrible.
America.
I'm telling you guys, this is a bad idea.
It's a terrible
idea. And you
idea.
want to send all your NFL players there. Meanwhile, you're roasting Jimmer Fredette for showing up.
We didn't say we're sending the best players. We said Jahan Dotson, for God's sake.
You want to send whoever the Sharif Abdul-Rahim is of the NFL. It's too valuable.
Well, I think that's Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. All right, coming up, Seth Wickersham has the details on what went down between Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Have that next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Peter Berardi, he made a prediction, said that he gonna win. Celtics got no conviction, but now he's hiding, running away, won't own up to his words, can't face the dismay. He thought Miami would rise like the sun in the sky, but now he's got excuses, got no alibi. Thought the Heat had it, it was a sure bet, but they couldn't handle Boston, not just yet. Peter Bellotti, where you at now? You made a bold choice, but where's your wow? Can't stand the heat in the kitchen. Your predictions cold. You're playing hide and seek, leaving us in the fold. You're playing hide and seek, leaving us in the fold. Peter Berardi, he made a prediction. Bogusch weeps, he's got the road trip blues. left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio, can't believe his eyes. But Bogusch stuck at home, his heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembyama, Perloff took the fall. But it's Bogusch left behind, feeling 10 feet tall. A loser in his own right, can't catch a break. Road trip dreams shattered, for goodness sake. For goodness sake. Bogusch counting the minutes, ticking like a clock. While Perloff's cruising highways, Hilarion talk. San Antonio shining, the city's calling their names. Bogusch sitting home, stuck playing life's cruel games. Bogusch weeps, he's got the road trip blues. Left glorious ride. He signed the check, tuning in where it's at. Infinity Sports Radio, playing all morning. Dancing to the beat, feeling so right. The tapes are loud, his speakers blast. He's a Twitch viewer, having a blast. Perloff is spinning, the crowd's going.
45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
So what is the relationship like between Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears? Well, a new book shedding some light on that. Pearl, good morning. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff with you. And yeah, it was amazing to get the detailed reporting that our next guest has in his new book, because there were some drips and drabs that maybe Caleb Williams wasn't completely sold on going to the Chicago Bears before the 2024 draft. But we've got so much more insight into that now, and that's because of our pal Seth Wickersham has got a new book out called American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. He's also the New York Times bestselling author of It's Better to Be Feared, which is essentially like a Bible for anyone who wants to really know what happened in the Patriots dynasty, both the rise and the fall. Seth Wickersham is with us now. Seth, thanks so much. Congrats on the new book.
Hey, great to see you guys.
Let's get into the Caleb Williams stuff, because that's been the big article you wrote for ESPN and what a lot of people are gravitating towards. So how seriously did Caleb Williams and his father, Carl, look at disrupting the entire draft process and trying to get Caleb to another city besides Chicago?
Well, it was definitely something that they contemplated. And I think that, it's important to take a little bit of a step back and look at it within the context of the way the draft is set up and the way that quarterbacks are best set up for success in the NFL. We've seen time after time how bad coaching and an unstable organization can really affect a talented quarterback who's picked overall and becomes the face of the franchise. Obviously, like someone like Alex Smith is someone who comes to mind about this. And so there's a reason why John and Jack Elway did what they did in 1983, and there's a reason why Archie and Eli Manning did what they did in 2004. And so in the lead up to the draft, when it was pretty obvious that Caleb was going to be the number 1 overall pick, his dad, was looking at ways to try to give his son some agency over his future employer. And he explored ways that were earnest. He talked to lawyers, he talked to agents, he talked to Archie Manning. He thought about ways that really weren't going to work out, but were worth kind of just throwing out there as spitball ideas, like Caleb joining the United Football League and doing that for a year if there was a chance that he could become an unrestricted free agent in 2025. And, Caleb was very aware of these things too. And at the Combine in 2024, he met with the Bears, and it was a good meeting. But it wasn't like they were vibing each other great. And then he also met with Kevin O'Connell, the head coach of the Vikings. And Kevin O'Connell, look, he was a 4-year starter at quarterback at San Diego State. He played with Tom Brady in the NFL. He's been around some of the best and brightest minds in coaching, and he's one of the brightest young coaches that we have in the NFL. And that they really got along well. And that kind of got Caleb's mind wondering, is there a chance that something can be done so that, he could go to a place like Minnesota?
Seth, do you think that now we're in year 2, that things are going to change and all the fears about the Bears have gone away? Is it a new situation now?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think that even before Ben Johnson was, a hot coaching candidate, a hot head coaching candidate, I had heard from some of the best coaches in the NFL that they not only studied some of his schemes, but copied him outright, which in football, as you guys know, is like the greatest compliment that someone can ever receive. And so I think that it happened a year after the fact, but I do think that what they have is an innovative offensive mind who's fully invested in Caleb's success and has had track record of coaching quarterbacks well. And so even if the first year was a disaster and so many of the fears that Carl and Caleb Williams had ended up coming true, I think they're in a good spot now. And, he has a good chance to be a successful quarterback now.
Seth Wickersham is joining us. He's New York Times bestselling author of It's Better to Be Feared. New book is called American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. And we're talking about some of the details of Caleb Williams joining the Bears. And one line that he gave you, he said, on the record, all the stuff on the record, they're not hiding from any of this, Seth. Caleb Williams said, I wasn't ready to nuke the city. Mm-hmm. And, I think that's a line that could end up staying with him for a very long time if things don't go well in Chicago. Because when I read that, and I'm so glad we get to talk to you because we get more of the context now. He didn't want to make it so ugly that it would almost force Chicago to trade him, or, that it would have been untenable for Bears fans to even palate this guy, right? It would have been unpalatable. That wasn't, I'll never nuke the city. That was, I wasn't ready to nuke the city. And it got Perloff and I into a really big debate and discussion about whether or not an NBA style, a star that wants out of a city could actually pull something like that in the NFL. And Perloff says, no, it could never happen. To me, I didn't think that Caleb was necessarily taking it off the table. It didn't feel like it was this great love affair now. It almost feels like a wait and see, no?
I wouldn't agree with that. I think that he was reflecting his mindset in the moment when we met in, I want to say it was late January, early February. And so he was reflecting his mindset almost a full year earlier at that time. It's in the article, the excerpt or the news story that was on ESPN.com and in the book, but, he likes the city of Chicago, and he visited them in April. And this was after his pro day. He went out to dinner with some of the team brass, and, he came back thinking, I can do it there. And I like Chicago. I like my teammates. I think I can do it there. And so I wouldn't read too much into the tenses of that statement. You saw him at the Cubs game the other day. I mean, I think that he's trying to definitely become part of the culture there. And, look, I mean, Caleb's one part of a book that touches on a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of different levels of notoriety and accomplishment. And one of the interesting things about being a quarterback, as you guys know, is that it's not like being a shortstop or a center fielder or a point guard. I mean, you are taking on all of these different mantles and wearing all of these different hats, from being the spokesperson of a multi-billion-dollar, organization, to a philanthropist, to being a leader, amateur psychologist, raging asshole at times. I mean, you have to be able to do all of these things, and it requires a certain personality. And I get into a lot of the types of ways you have to be wired to do this job, which I think is, it's almost as important as being able to throw the deep out.
So can I have one more question about Caleb? Because I do want to move on, because you
Sure.
write about a lot of different quarterbacks in this book. It's called American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. Can you just fill in the blank for me on this one? If things get off to a rough start in Chicago this season, ...
Well, that could very well happen. I mean, you're talking about a second-year quarterback. You're talking about, defensive coordinators who have had an entire offseason to study him and to know his weaknesses. And you're talking about a guy who's starting, under his third play caller in the NFL. It could easily happen. I mean, I think that, even though the NFL, as you guys know, is wired to help quarterbacks be successful quickly. I mean, the rule changes have obviously been the main reason because of that. It does take time. And, not every defensive coordinator around the league is, Rex Ryan or Bill Belichick, but they all know how to take away what a guy does well. And it just takes a little bit of time. And I think that it's very plausible that they could start slow in September, just because there are so many new pieces. And that's, it happens. It just does.
Seth, it's funny. You're talking about all these roles of a quarterback, a psychologist, obviously an athlete. It's so funny. I was thinking about Shedeur Sanders falling in the 5th round, and the fact that America had such a hard time evaluating how he fits this role of a quarterback. When you saw that, what was your thought about Shedeur not only falling out of the top 3, but all the way to the 5th round?
I was surprised, honestly. You guys can see behind me, there's that thing that says "Go Buffs." I was born in Colorado and grew up part of my life in Boulder, so I paid a lot of attention to Colorado, and I thought he was a phenomenal college quarterback. You guys will remember Peter King, our good friend. He was at the game when USC, Caleb's last year at USC, played at Colorado, and if you read his column from that game, I mean, he basically predicts that Shedeur is going to be better than Caleb. I think that, people want to label it, say this was the reason why this happened, when, each team is its own kind of ecosystem, and everybody kind of thinks differently and has different needs. But I do think that it was pretty obvious at some point that the league as a whole looked at him as a project, and coming in as a project, there's a lot of things you have to consider, because you have the fact that he thought he was going to go in the top 10. You have the fact that, he's got a very prominent father who's been the only guy who's really coached him throughout his career. And, how would he adapt to working for someone else? And if you're bringing in a rookie backup quarterback in the middle to the late rounds, that guy's under the radar, and Shedeur Sanders is never going to be under the radar. So I think that so some of those were some of the things that probably came up, but on the plus side for Shedeur, he has a chance to earn it rather than having it handed to him. And, I think that that route always helps you in the long run better than the short run.
But Seth, why is he a project? We saw him sling it all over the field. It had 37 touchdowns at Colorado. To me, it wasn't obvious as a project.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I think that look, every team has different needs, but I agree with you. And I think that one of the things that we forget about is that, quarterbacks come out and we think that they are who they are, even based on their first year or two. And we've seen that there's an enormous economy and demand for the type of quarterbacks that, if they can just survive, even if they don't end up succeeding with the team that drafts them, if they end up in a good spot after that and they manage to hang on, there is a really, really lucrative place for them in the NFL. I mean, you think about Geno Smith, he comes to mind. You think about Baker Mayfield to an extent. I think that that Will Levis could end up being one of those guys that, if he ends up on a different team with a better coaching staff and he's a little under the radar for a bit, the game slows down for these guys once they have a chance to take a step back. And so, I don't know how it's going to go for Shedeur, but I think that having a chance to watch the game and learn from a pretty good coaching staff there, whether it ends up working out in Cleveland or not, I think, it won't hurt him in the long run if he can be one of those guys who can stomach some of the disappointments and keep going.
Seth Wickersham is joining us. Of course, he's a New York Times bestselling author, reporter. His book, It's Better to Be Feared, was a New York Times bestseller. He's got a new book. It's called American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. And Pearl, I'm glad you brought up Shedeur because it lends nicely to the next player I want to talk about, which is Arch Manning. I mean, as far as famous families go, doesn't get any bigger than the Manning, so I always call the first family of football. What did you find out about Arch, about his recruitment to Texas, and how does he play into this book?
I think that some of those details we might have to discuss again in September. But
give us one. Give us one.
I think the thing that's interesting again about Arch is that going back to what we talked about earlier with wearing the hats. Now that's on steroids if you're a Manning, because when you're talking about someone who cannot be under the radar, that's any Manning who decides to be a quarterback. And so how he decided to do this and why and what it meant at a very young age that he, took on this mantle, because, you're taking on a lot. And I use Arch as a way to write about all of the Mannings. And, even Peyton was able to go under the radar a little bit more than Arch was. And so I think that when he, went to Easter Newman High and ended up starting as a freshman, which neither Peyton nor Eli had done. I think that you have to be of a certain type of mindset and able to handle that type of scrutiny. I think one of the reasons why he ended up at Texas is because Austin is a huge town relative to a lot of college towns, and there's a chance to kind of blend in a little bit more than, say he was at Oxford, Mississippi.
But that's impossible, right? Yeah. He's not going to blend in, right?
Well, I mean, I think there's a better chance of it. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Seth, I'm curious. We're talking about quarterback personalities. I know you talked to a lot of retired greats too in this book. Did you dive into the Brett Favre documentary? Comes out, I believe, today. It feels like if you're talking about an unusual personality, how does Brett Favre fit in this picture of what a great quarterback is in your mind?
Well, I had to, one of the things that's interesting is you do a book on quarterbacks and everyone says, oh, did you end up writing about blank? And, it ends up being interesting because you can tell who people love, everyone from Fran Tarkenton to Dan Fouts and all these people. I mean, the people I picked, I thought they needed to be part of a unique American experience that I really wanted to tap into and had a lot to say about. I think Favre, even though he's not one of my main characters, I mean, there is no doubt that, you talk about a unique American story, almost dying when he's in college, almost drinking himself out of the league. Obviously, there was the addiction problems, winning 3 MVPs in a row, and then his stint with the Jets and beyond, which let's just say has been messy and revealing. I think that he certainly fits into it. I haven't seen the documentary. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Jeff Pearlman wrote a great book about Brett Favre, and I felt like that, there wasn't a whole lot for me to add beyond that.
Seth, I want to close the loop here. We started with Caleb and his family really looking into real ways to circumvent him going to Chicago before the draft in 2024. Now we think ahead to Arch Manning. And I don't know if it's going to be next year, if it's in 2 years, but obviously Eli, and with the help of his family, definitely pulled this sort of power play, getting Eli to the New York Giants and away from the then San Diego Chargers. Do you anticipate that the Mannings are going to have a similar involvement here with Arch when he eventually does go to the NFL, if he is in play for the number 1 overall pick? Do you see history repeating itself with the Mannings?
That there's so many hypotheticals there. I mean, I think that again, that's the assumption that he'll be the first pick. I think that that's a big assumption at this point. He's got a lot of football to play. I mean, Caleb Williams had an unbelievable college career. I mean, he still has a lot of football to play, and he has to earn that he's in that position. Because if you're not the number one pick, I don't know what kind of power play you have necessarily, because you're not exactly sure who's going to get you. But look, they know that, this can be ugly at times, the Mannings do, and that, if there's something you need to do to try to help, ensure someone's success, are you willing to do that? And again, going back to Caleb, I mean, that was the answer at that point. I mean, there was really no way around the draft. And the question was whether, they were ready to create a situation like John and Jack did and like Archie and Eli did that was untenable. And Caleb didn't want to do that. And it's important to note that even though, these are powerful and kind of big personality fathers, Caleb was the one making the decision. And I think that Arch Manning will be the one making the decision ultimately whenever, it's his time and whatever circumstance he's in.
Last one for you, Seth. Can't let you get out of here without a Belichick question. I mean, you dedicated a big part of your life to writing about that dynasty, and it's better to be feared. As I said, it's a Patriots Bible. There's been a lot of things, a lot of documentaries and stuff. Seth's book is by far the one thing you need to read about the Patriots dynasty, and I've said that to you before, and I'll say it again. Now Belichick's in a much different light here with the Jordan Hudson relationship, and it's crossed over into the mainstream. You spend a lot of time digging into Belichick. Are you shocked by this? What's the most shocking part of it? And what do you anticipate for him in North Carolina? And sorry, not to ask a question that goes on forever. Do you think Robert Kraft really muddied the water for Belichick not getting another NFL head coaching job?
Well, so Don Van Natta and Jeremy Fowler and I reported about that, Kraft said, you can't trust the guy.
To the
and
Falcons,
he said that to
right?
Arthur Blank, one of his good friends. Kraft denied saying that, to be fair. I do think that since Belichick opened the door for Brady to walk out and Brady walked right out of it, it hasn't been a great run for him, in any way. I mean, he picked his quarterback of the future, didn't really work out there. They didn't have, a lot of success his last couple of years there. The Dynasty, documentary was not kind to him, to put it mildly. And I think that as you look at what's happening in North Carolina, a lot of these issues are self-inflicted. And he's someone he's the highest paid employee in the state. And when public employee, and when North Carolina hired him, they probably had to be thinking what we're getting at the minimum is a buttoned up, no drama football program. And that has not been the case so far. And, it sucks in a way that everything is about his relationship, and nobody knows anything about what kind of players. No one's talking about those players. No one's talking about. I'm really interested in seeing how he might try to slap around Dabo Swinney's offense, and in a college game that's really hard to play defense in. But instead, everything is focused on his relationship, and a lot of that are self-inflicted things. And so I think for a coach who has spent his entire career trying to minimize distractions and be a leader and a symbol of that, this has to be a particularly frustrating stretch, because it's been a lot of distractions, and some of them he's responsible for.
Seth, congrats again. American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. We'll have to get you back on before Texas's season starts so we can talk more in depth about Arch, because we're just fascinated by this young man. But thank you, and again, congrats.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks, to see Seth. You too. Really, really. I mean, the quarterback is endlessly fascinating.
Totally. I disagree with one thing about with you and
with
Seth.
Me, yeah.
No, with Seth. Really, I am not fascinated by North Carolina playing Clemson. This is Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick might be the greatest NFL coach of all time. He's not a miracle worker. He's not going to make North Carolina football watchable.
I think people believed he is a miracle worker.
Wow.
He's become a lot more mortal. He's acting like a mere mortal now.
Well, I'm saying, I don't think anybody could turn North Carolina football into a thing. I've watched that program for years. Basketball, yes. Football, no.
888-710-4ISN. Appreciate Seth spending some time with us there. Really interesting about Caleb and about Arch and everything. And we'll talk about that Brett Favre documentary, which drops today. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Very interesting talking to Seth Wickersham. Has a new book, American Kings. I think he actually floated the idea. You asked him, will Arch Manning play hardball in the draft? I think Arch might be different than his uncles. I feel like Arch, the fact that he's sticking around Texas, I feel like he's a team player. I do not think that he's going to be this big drama guy in the draft. I don't know what I'm basing that on, nothing. He just seems like a team guy. And not that Eli wasn't.
I was going to say, did Eli stick around?
Yeah, I mean, they all stuck around. I just think that Arch is on a different path than his uncles. You know, one went to Tennessee and one went to Ole Miss. Arch went to Texas. He just feel like he wants to be different. And and that might mean whoever drafts me number one, maybe I don't go to the Giants or the Colts or the Saints or not some new team that has no Manning direction. It feels like he wants to be his own dude, but that's not knowing him at all.
Well, I'm not saying that he would necessarily try to get himself to the Giants. I was asking Seth, do you think he would try to get himself to a preferred team?
Yeah, away from a bad team.
And Peyton Manning went back to Tennessee. A lot of people believe because he didn't want to go to the Jets.
Yeah.
They also thought that Bill Parcells wouldn't guarantee he would take him number one. There's a lot of, history around that. But Eli Manning kind of aw-shucked his way through that whole thing. And I know it was 2004, and it was a different time, especially with social media and stuff. But Eli just kind of shuffled his feet and looked down at the floor and got through that. I don't know if it has to be this big dramatic. It will be dramatic now. Arch will not be able to do that.
But Eli went to an under-the-radar college, definitely. I mean, Ole Miss has never won anything.
But his dad's college.
Yeah, but I mean, generally, he stayed out of the spotlight in college. Like, Ole Miss is not going to compete for a title.
Sure.
He knew that. And I think Eli was easily manipulated by his dad, whereas I think Arch might have something different going on. It just feels Arch, everyone's like, whoa, is Arch going to complain that he's not starting at Texas? And he didn't complain at all. He seemed totally happy there, being behind Quinn Ewers. And it doesn't feel like everyone's like, well, are you going to leave Texas? And he didn't seem to show any interest in that ever.
Yeah, I guess there's also maybe a different timeline if the Mannings all go to college, assuming they're going to be there for 4 years. So what's the rush, right?
Yeah, and he's also kind of on the young side. I don't know. I just don't know that Arch is going to pull this. As Seth said, first of all, there's no guarantees number one overall, and that he's going to pull this power play. Who knows? DJ Lagway could be one. He could be two. It's not a huge stretch. Dilla Raiola might be one. Who knows?
See,
That'd be surprising.
I don't think you have to be one to do the power play. If your last name's Manning. If you're anyone else, I don't think it can work. If your last name's Manning, I think you can still do the power play.
That's a great question. Seth said, if you're not one, how do you do the power play?
Last name's Manning.
Yeah, but if you're 8, you're not going to do a power play. But you don't want to. Well, Shedeur ran into this. You don't want to fall too far.
Well, but Shedeur also apparently treated the pre-draft process like he could, could care less if he was, going through it or not.
I think you're playing a dangerous game. If you're not the number one overall pick and you start pulling power plays, say you tell the number 4 team, don't draft me, boom, all of a sudden you're falling like a rock. I think some of that happened with Shedeur.
I do too.
That's going to be fun, man. This is going to be a whole year of this topic. Or 2 years, maybe.
Get ready for Archmania.
Watching me just completely average.
It's impossible.
Well, it's totally possible.
I think Texas is too good for him to be average. A little worried about their offensive line. But
you could not have possibly been more average than Quinn Ewers last year. He was a former number 1 overall recruit, a Heisman hopeful.
And they made it to the Final Four twice.
Yeah, but he was completely mid.
We don't talk enough about how he fell, but he also had injury concerns that Arch doesn't have, knock on wood for the guy.
But I do think there's a possibility there'll be other big stars. Somebody else could explode. There could be a Joe Burrow next year. We just assume Arch. That is a good point. We do not know that this guy's going number 1. He's played how many games? And I think you talk about him like he's already the face of the sport. Probably is, but he hasn't done anything yet. Just keep that in mind.
Bogusch is here with headlines. What's up?
Maggie, Scotty, they might dress like Knicks City dancers, but EJ and Manny appear to be decent Knicks fans. I assume they wouldn't throw garbage at a guy on the street in a Tyrese Halliburton jersey, but that did happen to Hans Perez in Manhattan after the Knicks closed out the Celtics in Game 6, and now Halliburton is flying Perez and a +1 to Indy for Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Final.
I mean, the guy was desperate for attention as well. I mean, why are you wearing a Pacers jersey in Manhattan after the Knicks? Just attention to detail, things like that.
She was asking for it. I wouldn't employ that one. I wouldn't employ that one. But there is, I was thinking about that because the guy obviously is walking around the victory party of the Knicks in a Halliburton jersey. So you know you're going to get some kind of attention. He doesn't deserve to get bags of garbage thrown on him.
No, definitely not.
No, but I mean...
Also, what's the beef with Windhorse? Why was Brian Windhorse is getting cans thrown at him as he's walking back to his hotel? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, well, listen, I think
because he picked the Celtics along with everyone else in the media.
He puts a lot of stank on his predictions. Like, you Knicks fans think you're going to... Like, so there's a reason why Knicks fans don't have
definitely has an agenda against the Knicks.
But
he's got something against them.
At the same time, I do feel like there is an issue with the people that are going to these crowds. And it's because of those early side talk videos, which were hilarious.
Yeah,
bong. Yeah, bing bong and KD, don't you want to be a Knick? Like, those were actually funny and those were organic. They just showed up after a game and people were just leaving the Garden.
That was the game one.
Game
of
one of a regular season game from
Went into
2
overtime.
years ago. But now what happens is because of that video, we have these scumbags who are showing up to the Garden purely just to be over the top and just to harass people, and that can't happen.
And Manny's got their back, it sounds like.
I do think the guy who showed up in the Howard jersey, like, I think that, like, that's just stupid. Like, why you definitely wanted attention. You definitely wanted something.
attention, but there's like full bags of garbage being thrown at the guy.
No,
you
I'm not saying
something to him.
No, you shouldn't do that. But like, I do think that, like, okay, you want something, guy, whatever. Like, that guy, I think also, like, all of this is clout. Everybody wants clout. The guys that show up at the Garden want clout. This jerk showing up in a Halliburton jersey at a Knicks game wants clout. Like, everyone's looking for their viral moments, and I think it's creating bad environments for people like Windhorse, who should not be having garbage thrown at him, whatever was thrown at him. It's ridiculous.
Well, but it's not Windhorse's fault that he's giving his unvarnished opinion that he's being asked to give in the media. Because if he was just some Knicks homer, that also might that's not good either,
he's
right?
Far from a homer.
No, but it's not even that.
That's fine, but also beauty's in the eye of the beholder. There could be 29 fan bases who think that he's against them.
But I do think, like, there is a thing with the media, and maybe on this show, of, like, being like, hey, Knicks fan, guess what's going to happen to you? That doesn't happen to other NBA teams.
Okay, but EJ, you also have people who are so hardcore stumping for the Knicks on national television, including Stephen A. Smith.
Who else besides Stephen A. Smith?
Have you've watched the NBA ESPN halftime show?
Yeah.
Does anyone else? You wouldn't even know sometimes who the Knicks are playing.
Well, yeah, but
by the halftime show.
But that's not them stumping for the Knicks. That's Stephen A. being a fan and then them reacting to him. They don't have ESPN is not pro Knicks. I mean, that's like farthest from the truth.
Okay.
Like, that's like
okay.
So
everyone thinks there's a media bias, but here's the thing: like, it's really hard. Sometimes I'm going to use this analogy. It can be hard to sue famous people because famous people have the right to retaliate. They have access to the platform to get their side of the story out. Same thing with the Knicks. I mean, first of all, you have in the biggest city of the world, you got an entire cable channel dedicated to you, right? So you do have, and those people are also crossed over to ESPN. Sure. So you have Monica McNutt, who's also on ESPN, who's doing Knicks. You have Alan Hahn, who's also doing Knicks, been doing Knicks forever, who's also on big ESPN. Stephen A., outright fan, biggest person in media fan. Like, you have retaliation here. It's not like everyone's ganging up on New York.
No, that's fine. I don't think people are ganging up in New York. But I do think, again, what I spoke to specifically was there's a thing because Knicks fans are their own character that when you make a prediction, you have to then also take a shot at Knicks fans. When we don't care about Brian Windhorse. He could say Knicks were going to... There were 12 people who said Knicks were going to lose.
Right.
We're not all looking for Chris Herring, or we're not looking for,
right.
Dave McMenamin. Like, we're not looking for those people. It's when you go on television and you poke at the bear and then the bear bites back, that's not surprising. But again, what I'm saying, though, is... I want to be serious. Like, that whole thing is garbage. No pun intended. Like, you can't be throwing garbage at people. And I do think that, like, these people are trying to be caricatures of what they think Knicks fans are.
Right.
In part because of people like Stephen A. is creating an environment that is not good. It's not okay.
It's like not safe for Wendy.
No, it's not.
Can I share my favorite tweet on this whole thing?
Yeah.
Our former boss, Spike Eskin, who was a WFAN program director, he retweeted, harassing people for supporting another team instead of celebrating. Worst fan base on the planet. Now he's a host in Philadelphia.
Yeah, give me a break.
It's like pot kettle.
You realize what you're saying, Spike. Like, I was the one told if you have a New York license plate, you can't park in the link.
Yeah, try to show up in a Troy Aikman jersey to an Eagles game. It's not going to go well.
A Philly fan calling New York the worst fan base on the planet? We've been violent towards other fan bases.
Who was the guy? Nick Bosa, or not Nick Bosa, the other Bosa. Joey Bosa tried to show up to his brother's game, and they basically wanted to fight him in the parking lot a couple years ago.
Of course.
Self-awareness, y'all. Self-awareness.
Yeah, no. I just thought that was rich.
I get a little worried for any fan base, but especially for the way that the Knicks fans, the Knicks themselves actually, and the Knicks fans are celebrating. Like some of the behind-the-scenes footage of Leon Rose, the GM, and stuff like that, people are like crying to get back to the conference finals, which is fine. But you're also putting that out for people's consumption, right? That was an intimate moment that they turned into a marketing moment. And so you have the team acting like they just won the finals. The fans are acting like they won the finals when you still have 2 more rounds to go. And I'm not saying you might not do it. It would help me, Drought Buster 2025, year of the Slump Buster. I would love for the Knicks to be on me contributing to my best take of my life. But everyone's acting in New York like the mission is accomplished here, and that the crowd's only going to get more and more intense is what I'm saying.
Did you see Big Body Brunson? Did you see him? I think the one reason why I'm not worried about that was 2 reasons, honestly. One, Tom Thibodeau, that guy's a psychopath. There's no way he's not focused, is lasered in on the Pacers.
No, the players aren't the problem.
So that's to me like, and I was going to say Brunson was number 2. Because even if you could argue, I know Cat was wearing like the troll Boston shirt, and I've seen Deuce hanging out with people in the club. But those 2 guys will not let this team lose focus. So I'm not really worried about Leon Rose and celebrating. Like, that doesn't matter.
The irony to me of this whole thing is that the Knicks are the most likable team. Like, how do you not like Jalen Brunson? Maybe you don't like Karl Anthony Towns, but how do you not like Jalen Brunson? How do you not like his story? How do you not like OG Anunoby? Like, these guys are just grinders.
But they're boring, though. I mean, like,
not Brunson.
No, but they don't dunk like Anthony Edwards. Like, they're not. They're definitely like below the rim players, or just kind of working.
Clutch player of the year. I mean, the gguy's like magic.
I had a very, and I don't. It could be just a one-person thing, but I had a very interesting conversation on the beach in Mexico with a Minnesota native who was excited that they were going to the conference finals. And I was like, "Oh yeah, you guys got a great team." Anthony Edwards. He was like, "You know what? I don't like Anthony Edwards. I think he's a jerk, and what he does off the court is actually, it's hard to root for him."
Well, that person's a real diehard fan then, if they're following.
Well, I was gonna say, do you think that is that like? Is it possible that he's also turned people off with some of the stuff that's happened?
I feel like Silver would run on a block Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's shot to get Anthony Edwards into the finals. Like, he's the potential star.
No, I mean that's why I asked. I'm just surprised. I was stunned by that reaction by someone who's from Minnesota. Now, to be fair,
Edwards is abrasive.
She, by the way, describes herself as a casual fan. She said I'm not a super NBA fan.
He's super abrasive. I mean, he does not. He doesn't change in any situation.
Well, that's what I said. There's something that's keeping this guy from being the true face of the league.
Yeah, he's 22
it's not the
years
basketball.
Old. Yeah, it's his age. If he could win this thing, they want him to be the face.
But he doesn't still, right?
What?
No. He keeps saying that he doesn't want to be the face of the league.
He's just saying that because he thinks that's what you're supposed to say.
Well, I think there's also, I mean, he's got a couple of things that are very unbecoming of him.
The personal stuff. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what EJ's talking about.
Right. But I don't think the young fans care at all about that. They care about the fact that, did you see that dunk he had in the last game?
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I just, it was something I didn't think about because I kind of assumed that everyone loved Anthony Edwards, but that's someone from the city saying that they love the team, but it's hard to root for him.
To be fair,
he's very he's not like people from Minnesota. Minnesota people are very like under what's the word? Like they're charming. They're not like people who brag. They're not braggadocious. They're understated. Exactly.
Except for Prince.
Yeah, well, true.
Different type of thing.
Randy Moss.
He's not from Minnesota.
Yeah, but they'll embrace. Yeah, Anthony Edwards ain't from Minnesota.
His exit out of Minnesota wasn't that great though, Randy. If you remember.
Yeah. Push the cop. I remember well.
Bogusch, hang with us. We have not gotten to any of your updates on time because we're busy chit-chatting about Knicks fans throwing cans at Brian Windhorst.
I love Brian Windhorst.
888-710-4ISN. I don't even know if there's a hotel closer for Wendy.
I really hope that there's something happens with a group of Knicks fans where they do something with him and like do a fun video or something where they
are bad.
Yeah, because like that was corny, and I'm telling you, there are not real Knicks fans who thought that was cool. It's only
don't like them
losers who are showing up from Long Island, getting on the railroad, who are already hammered.
Oh wow! Direct hit at Bogusch.
Easy. I know my peoples, right? And they're showing up, and they're a young group, and they're outliers.
The guys from Long Island?
Have you been on the Long Island Railroad after the Knicks game?
I've been on the railroad every single day, man. And I grew up in Queens. I think there are jerks in Queens.
I think that this is a particular crowd.
We're not leapfrogging Queens coming in from Bethpage to rough up Windhorst. I'm insulted.
Oh. You should take that personally.
I am, because I prefer to be from Queens. I just temporarily live in Long Island.
You don't want to be associated
on
with
Long
that?
Island, whatever.
888-710-4ISN. Okay, lots more to do, believe it or not. Not just Bogusch's update. We have a question for you, and we need your help. MMP.
Go New York, go New York, go!
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defense Player of the Week is sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly celebrating all who go above and beyond during Military Appreciation Month. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Our members are the mission. Now, EJ Pick says he probably went WNBA, but could you do a Defensive Player of the Week that previews the upcoming series and guesses who will be the big defensive factor in the conference finals?
Oh, I like this.
Like Rudy
spin.
Gobert. Or, I don't do not think. I think that, actually, I'm going to go in advance, and I think that Kason Wallace's defense on Anthony Edwards will make him the defense, or Lou Dort. What are those guys?
This is a preview?
Or Alex Caruso. No, Alex Caruso.
A defensive preview.
It's Caruso on Jokic.
I'm going to go with, like, Alana Smith, 2 blocks from the Lynx. I still think you were right. I think EJ went WNBA.
I got Pete Alonso. What you got, EJ?
Manny.
Get me a garbage bag.
It's not the most. Watch out! This guy's trying to throw the ball. Player of the week.
First Knicks fans, not Mets fans throwing garbage at people. All right, defensive player of the week this week is Alex Caruso, who on Sunday, which technically is still this week, had a phenomenal defensive performance guarding Nikola Jokic, who has about 100 pounds and 6 inches of height on him. So Jokic was held to just 20 points and 9 rebounds. Alex Caruso was a plus 40 in the game. Also had 3 steals in the Thunder's 125-93 victory in Game 7 over the Nuggets.
No. I need to go home.
Missed an opportunity to give it to Aaliyah Boston there. 5 blocks. But so who does Caruso cover tonight?
I mean, it's going to be an army of defenders going against Ant-Man and Randall. They're going to be like, wait, what happened after last series? And then they're going to victimize Gobert. I really like OKC in this series with the matchup.
True.
Although OKC can't shoot the ball and has never played in close games. So I don't know. Who do you like? Would you have a lean in this one?
I thought the Nuggets were going to win Game 7, so clearly I was off on that. They get off to a great start, but then it completely fell apart.
That home court, though, is crazy.
So that'd
there.
be OKC.
No. Yeah. You like them in 7 in the home court? Or
I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to pick an upset again. There could, we've talked about dynasties being dead in the NBA, and like, is it someone's time? Is it just their time? It might be the time for Minnesota to make it to the finals. But then again, Shea's the MVP. Could be his time too.
It's their time. I mean, they're still new on the scene. It feels like if it's time, it's the Thunder's season.
Yeah, no, it is their season. So, okay, Thunder. I don't know. I wish I had a stronger lean here, but Thunder in 6.
You know how I hate Gobert. I can't wait to see if Gobert gets caught up the top of the key on a pick and roll, how awful he's going to look. Give it to me in my veins.
Perloff, I can't tell if he likes to root for guys better or root for guys to get embarrassed more.
Definitely likes rooting better against people.
Yeah, I mean,
you're rooting hard against the Knicks. I know that.
I mean, I am.
I got to be honest, my family, I haven't told you guys this, and Bogusch, you might relate this. My kids are so into the Knicks right now.
Yeah.
I've kind of... Because I took them to those front row seats. Lucy and Timothy Chalamet is a big Knicks fan. She made me sit and watch all these Timothy Chalamet rooting for the Knicks fans. I'm a little into it. I'm going to admit it.
Oh, yeah.
Man, are we even fans of sports anymore, or is it just celebrity fans? Between Taylor Swift, and now Timothy Chalamet.
I know.
It's like Jalen Brunson's got to be like, what the hell do I have to do?
Wait, hold on. But Tim's been a Knick fan since he was a kid. I mean, he went out to go find Landry Fields at Grand Central when he was like 11 years old.
Right. But that's not sitting front row. No. That Lucy Perloff didn't know that.
No, Lucy. But Maggie's right.
Kylie Jenner showed up.
Yeah, some of these people are fakes, by the way. These celebrities, right? They lifelong. We had a big debate. How much does Penn Badgley really like the Knicks? That was a discussion in my house last night. I'm not joking.
I'll tell you who is a bandwagoner, and it's going to hurt me to say, Bad Bunny.
Oh yeah, he showed up out of nowhere.
Been seen him in 2 games in the last 3 years.
Well, I mean, when he's around New York City and they'll offer him those free tickets. Yeah, but I mean, he just suddenly showed up wearing 90s Knicks stuff.
Yeah, where did he get that 99 Knicks hat? That joint is fire.
Where does Bad Bunny get cool stuff? I mean, how does that guy get his hands on anything?
It looks like an authentic. Like, I'm serious. Like, where did he get that? Like, where would he find that?
I'm so sad right now that Bad Bunny's a fake fan.
Yeah, I'm not ranking Benito up there with Tracy Morgan and Tim Chalamet and Spike.
I think anyone who's from New York, I think you can confirm that they are probably Knicks fans or at least rooted for the team while they're here. Anyone who's not, I think that you have to ask questions.
Bunny just likes the New York aura, but I digress.
Who's the biggest Pacer super fan?
Pat McAfee.
Yeah, probably.
Well, that's interesting.
Because I don't think you can get Caitlin now. She's in her season.
Yeah, it's probably. Oh no, she'll probably be at a game.
Hey, LeBron, we're pulling for your groin.
She doesn't sit courtside though. She
No,
sits
she'll
in
be
the booth.
Yeah, but she'll be at a game. She was there last time they played them.
They don't have like their own Paul Rudd. They don't have like any of those. There's no celebrity from Indiana.
No, I mean, they were on Parks and Rec all the time.
Yes, right.
But that doesn't count.
Yeah, Roy Hibbert.
Detlef Schrempf and Roy Hibbert.
Ron Swanson.
Yeah, Roy Hibbert had an excellent cameo on Parks and Rec.
They were just shooting hoops in Aziz Ansari's party venue.
Roy Hibbert definitely made an appearance on Parks and Rec.
I think he had like a 3-episode arc.
Yeah.
Did Larry Bird ever make it
We
on?
now know who's a famous Timberwolf fan.
Alex Rodriguez.
From the U. Good old Michael Irvin. He was at the game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was at the game. But you didn't see him kiss Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards looked like he wanted to throw him into the fourth
How did
row.
that happen?
Yeah, so he's apparently good friends with Randall. Randall's, of course, from
Dallas. Yeah.
So he flew to Minnesota for one of the games in the last series and was there and took pictures with Randall and got on the court and took pictures with Anthony Edwards and then kissed him on the cheek.
I can't imagine a more May-December relationship than Julius Randle and Michael Irving. Is your update sponsored?
No.
Just making sure.
No, and there's also the internet, so people don't really need me anymore.
Stop.
That's right.
I Googled celebrity Indiana Pacer fans, and there's a ranking. Number 1 was Tony Stewart.
Oh, okay.
Number 2 was Mike Epps.
Sure.
Number 3 was Pete Buttigieg.
Okay.
4, Jared Fogle. I don't think that.
Take that out.
That did not age well.
Might
That
have
did
to
not
dump
age
that.
well. Those are the top 4.
I'm
I
on a
see here.
Reddit thread, and it lists Jesse Eisenberg, the indie film actor, as the number 1 fan, and then someone responded, "Oh, that's Indiana's Drake."
I think it's Indiana's Chalamet.
Yeah. Did you say Letterman?
Oh, Letterman.
Yeah, Letterman apparently is here. Priyanka Chopra is a Pacer fan.
Oh,
Really?
she's an actress, right?
Nick Jonas's wife?
Yeah, why would she be a Pacer fan?
I have no idea. That's that.
Or the
something's off with
Google
that one.
AI, which we know that has to be real, right?
Combination.
No cap.
Oh yeah, there's a video of her at a Pacer game.
You know who's super fun for the T-Wolves? Did you guys see Justin Jefferson and J.J. McCarthy? Mike, that was a good time.
Yeah, that was cool.
I like the NFL NBA crossover. That could work.
No, my favorite is when NFL guys go to a baseball game and have no idea what's going on.
Those are always funny.
Or
I don't.
hockey. Yeah.
And they're
Thank
like,
you.
Let's just chug a beer.
EJ Stewart, thank you, Manny Rodriguez, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Seth Wickersham joined us. If you missed that, you can download Maggie Perloff podcast. Guido's Coffee Drinkers, you know who you are.
You're in a 5-minute break.